be a couple of minor disturbances, but no more than that. Mainly just the sound of the pouring rain. So there has been criticism tonight from Lucy Fraser, the Culture Secretary. She said last night, very disappointed the FA have not illuminated the Wembley arch. But the FA have said that only Australian and England colours, flags, replica kits are allowed inside the stadium tonight. So that's certainly one to watch, but there was certainly respect there after the horrible events of the last week. So we're ready for the start of the match. Two England internationals alongside me here, Stephen Warnock and Paul Robinson, who made his debut, Paul, against Australia 20 years ago.
That's very kind of you to remind me of that, John. It was a fantastically proud achievement for me, but not a very good result for us. Let's hope it can be not the same tonight.
The famous night, that one, when Sven made the 11 substitutions at half-time. As this match begins, England against Australia in 2023. The first time England and Australia have played each other in a senior men's international here at Wembley Stadium. So it is an historic occasion, Stephen Warnock.
Well, it certainly is, and it's an opportunity for Australia to showcase what they can do, the good work from the World Cup that they showed. This will be a tough night for England if they're not at the races, and expect Australia to be very competitive and very aggressive in the way they approach this game.
And also an historic occasion because the referee's whistle has been blown by Stephanie Frappart, who's a real trailblazer, as you probably know. The first woman to referee in the Champions League, in the UEFA Super Cup match, first woman to referee at the Men's World Cup finals, as she did in Qatar, and now the first woman to referee a men's international at Wembley. So a big night for Stephanie Frappart, all in black in the centre circle, with England in possession, and the white shirts, the first choice kit with the blue shoulders, and then the dark blue shorts and white socks against Australia in the green and gold shirts with the green numbers on the back and green shorts. And England, as they like to do, are playing from left to right as we look from the dressing room side of the ground here at Wembley Stadium on what is a very, very wet night. James Maddison in possession on the halfway line, one of the players of the season so far in the Premier League. Top of the table with Tottenham Hotspur. Back it goes to Lewis Dunk. He's the only man who started at Hampden against Scotland in the previous match last month, who also starts this match. So 10 changes for England. For Australia, it's just been friendly internationals for them all the way since the World Cup at the end of last year. This their fifth friendly international of 2023. As the ball is played back by Tomori to goalkeeper Johnston, who gets a touch, and he was a little under pressure there actually from Mitch Duke, so just swipes it out of play on the far side of the field. This is his fourth cap, Sam Johnston, and Gareth Southgate dropped the occasional hint, Stephen, this week that Sam Johnston was going to play. Says that he's underestimated. He's the man who's kept more clean sheets in the Premier League than anyone else so far this season.
Well, it's the first time in a while that we've seen him reward good play in the Premier League, good performances with the performance. We were talking about James Ward-Prowse before the game and his non-inclusion within the squad, but it's good to see that Sam Johnston has got that opportunity. We were just looking at the formation as well of England.
As the ball is taken down inside the penalty area by Trent Alexander-Arnold near the penalty spot, but he's able to clear it away.
Yeah, he's playing as a centre midfielder in possession, as we see him play for Liverpool, and then he's playing as a full-back out of possession, but that's just an interesting one to keep an eye on the formation in the midfield.
Australia coming forward towards the end of the England penalty area, and it finds its way all the way over to the left-hand side to Kai Rolls. Now Craig Goodwin on the left-hand side, and his attempted cross is blocked out of play. And out for a throw-in off Jared Bowen. He's one of the form players who's come in, and he's in the team. 5 goals this season. Jared Bowen for West Ham in his 9 appearances, and it's his first appearance for England here at Wembley Stadium, so that's significant for him, I'm sure. And likewise, Tomori at the back in central defence, first time he's played for England at Wembley.
John, it's an absolute dream for Trent Alexander-Arnold to have someone like Jared Bowen in front of him. Given the ball, he'll run at people, he'll take them on, but defensively doesn't shirk his responsibility.
Rolls of Hearts takes the throw for Australia on the left-hand side. It's headed down and away by Tomori of AC Milan, then chested down, in fact handballed down by Connor Metcalfe, and it's a free kick to England inside their own penalty area.
Yeah, Metcalfe just playing off the striker, and it's actually Craig Goodwin playing out on the left-hand side, so you can see straight away that Metcalf's looking straight away to join Duke as often as he can in them central roles, but will drop into midfield to try and help with that sort of overload of players that England have in that midfield when Trent Alexander-Arnold steps in that position.
I mean, it's a very different England team tonight, obviously, and I have to say I'd probably doubt whether this England team will ever start a game together, whereas Australia, there is a consistency of selection from Graham Arnold. Just 2 changes from their match last month when they played Mexico in Texas, of all places, and they are both injury enforced. Riley McGree is one of the players who's not able to be involved tonight, the Middlesbrough man. Back it goes to Johnston, his 4th cap, yet to concede a goal playing for England at senior international level, the Crystal Palace man. Tamori dives in and Australia play it past him. Now on the left-hand side with Jackson Irvine, but Jackson Irvine, it breaks down for him and England have got it back, and the ball is played via a deflection by Trent Alexander-Arnold out for a throw to England.
My old teammate Jackson Irvine, a long time ago back at Burton, but one of those midfielders
where it was going to be.
Yeah, one of those midfielders, incredible engine on him and an incredible ability to time runs into the box and score vital goals at vital times.
Yeah, 8 goals for Australia, but very, very well travelled. And of course this Australian team that I read out, you know, so many of them will be familiar to listeners who support the teams that they've played for in these islands, even though they represent Australia. Kai Rolls will take the throw and get it back, the number 4, the left back. Then it's curled in left-footed to the edge of the England penalty area, headed away. It's good early pressure from Australia, this. It's taken down centrally by Ryan Strain, but the ball is looped into the penalty area and Johnston can come and make a catch.
Very apparent what Australia want to do. Ball in wide areas, whether it be a fullback or a wide midfielder. One look up and try and put the ball into the penalty box and cause England problems from them deep crosses.
Here's another one of those familiar names, Matty Ryan, who's now playing in the Netherlands with AZ Alkmaar, the goalkeeper, all in lilac tonight. What a wet night it is here at Wembley. The rain absolutely tippling down into the stadium. And here's Grealish for the first time with the ball on the left-hand side. Just drops his shoulder, comes in field. Had a chat with him last night at Tottenham's training ground. He's just he's so comfortable, you know, in whatever environment he finds himself in. You know, just a very relaxed chat we had last night about the injury problems he's had this season, a dead leg that it caused him real problems, which is why he missed the games last month. Here he is on the left-hand side. Never really, Jack Grealish, had a run in the starting lineup for England since before the Euros in 2021. So whether he plays on Tuesday night probably is dependent on how he plays tonight, Stephen.
Yeah, there's just been a couple of opportunities where you're thinking, get out your feet and run at him, just really take him on, but he's just trying to find his way into the game. As Jarrod Bowen gets on the ball now.
Gallagher to Bowen, and then Bowen back to Gallagher, drives it across, only half cleared. It actually struck Harry Souttar, who threw himself down on the edge of the 6-yard box, got a little deflection which took it away from anyone in a white shirt. Good play though for England. Gallagher and Bowen together, then the ball deflects into the area and is headed up and over the angle of post and bar on the corner of the box by Jarrod Bowen, stretching for it. Didn't threaten the goal.
No, but it's really good play on the right-hand side between Bowen and Gallagher. Gallagher realising that Bowen is going to draw a couple of players towards him, makes a clever run into the box. It's a beautiful ball across the edge of the box, and Souttar, he actually doesn't really do too much, but he just does enough to put off, I think it's Ollie Watkins at the back post. He's got a simple tap in. He doesn't expect it to go through the legs of Harry Souttar. It would have been a simple tap in had he read the ball.
Harry Souttar, just a couple of appearances for Leicester, top of the table Leicester so far this season. His brother John was on the bench for Scotland in Seville last night in our commentary match, and indeed was on the bench against England at Hampden last month. So double Souttar. And England with the ball in the central third of the field. 0-0, England 0, Australia 0. This is BBC Radio 5 Live, international football on a Friday night. And the ball with Levi Colwill, making his debut tonight, having really impressed for the under-21s in the tournament win in Georgia. in June and July. As the ball is swept forward towards the edge of the box, and Matty Ryan comes out of the Australian penalty area and heads it down. Australia clear. Little flick header on by Jackson Irvine, but intercepted by Alexander Arnold. Now to Bowen. Bowen lays it off nicely to Watkins. Now to Grealish inside the area on the left-hand side. Australia getting back in numbers, so Grealish keeps possession, then plays it across the edge of the box. Gallagher can't get there, and England have to start again from the halfway line.
That's why I just want to see him drag it down the line and take his man on 1v1 in the box.
It's been the criticism of him this season, hasn't it?
Yeah, but as a fullback, I don't want to get isolated in the penalty box. I don't want him to take me on. I'm worried then that I might have to dive in, or he might beat me and there's a simple pullback. As soon as he turns back, I'm delighted. I'm over the moon.
So England 0, Australia 0 as Conor Gallagher is fouled by Craig Goodwin on the halfway line. And let's get a few thoughts from Paul Robinson on the opening almost 10 minutes, Paul.
It's taken this England team a while to settle, as you'd expect. You know, it's a new team. The understanding, the cohesion might not be there. Australia have started off particularly well, pressed high up the field, made it uncomfortable for England, but the last 2 or 3 minutes or so, they've had some decent concerted possession, and they're making their way into the Australia half.
So Paul made his debut in amongst, I think it was 7 debutants 20 years ago when England played Australia at Upton Park. Wayne Rooney made his debut that night as a 17-year-old. Last time they played in this country at Sunderland, Marcus Rashford made his debut. You might remember he scored after a little more than 2 minutes on the clock. He's on the bench tonight as Jared Bowen couldn't find the pass to Grealish, who slipped in any case, but Strain was able to step forward, and now it's with Martin Boyle on the right-hand side, but England are able to deflect it out of play for a throw to Australia inside their own half.
Graham Arnold will be delighted with the start that Australia have made. The pressure that they're applying, they're making England make mistakes as well. They are a little bit vulnerable on the break because of the being outnumbered in midfield. As soon as they get the turnover of their ball, England, there are options in behind. It's about finding that final pass and making sure that they complete that. But Australia here on the break themselves.
Australia through the middle. Ball played out to the left-hand side. And Craig Goodwin, left-footed ball across the England penalty area, headed down and away by Tomori. Fikayo Tomori winning what is his 4th cap here tonight. And now Australia, a curling effort, deflected. Oh, good save. Good save by Johnston, diving to his left. It was Bacchus, the midfielder. Right foot curling shot. The St Mirren man took a little deflection as well, but leaping to his left, Sam Johnston, Paul Robinson turned that away.
That was a fantastic save. Bacchus just cuts inside from that left-hand side onto his right foot, curls it across Johnson, who's got it comfortably in his grasp, but Tomori does his best. He tries to put the block on it, and he actually heads it into the bottom left-hand corner. Johnson makes a great step to his left and fantastically turns it around the post.
Right-sided corner, first of the match for Australia. It's an outswinger towards the penalty spot. It bounces down and is sort of half-headed goalwards, but blocked, and then a spectacular effort, sort of a bicycle kick, roundabout sort of waist, stomach height, which was bounced down into the ground. And actually that was an easy take from the shot from Martin Boyle.
It'll give him so much confidence, that Sam Johnson, John, it really will. He's starting this game, not started for a long time, but it was such a good save. It was a difficult save from a goalkeeper's point of view because he's going after the first shot, and when his centre-half puts his head on it, it diverts it another yard wider than him, so he has to get an extra step in, which makes that save even better.
Do you think it's a shot? I think it's an actual cross, isn't it, to the two strikers?
Shot, isn't it?
Yeah, but it makes it an even better save, that he anticipates the touch of Tomori or a striker and is able to push it round the post.
Well, as the goalkeeper, you've gone after the first ball, you're looking, you're thinking, I've got to stop that creeping into the far post, but with Tomori's touch, it's then turned it into a direct strike. It was a really, really good save.
And that last effort, it was actually the left-back Rolls with the shot, but it was at an awkward height, and that was straight at Sam Johnston, who will feel a lot better about things after that. As England come forward, here is Watkins, England's number 9 tonight. Harry Kane is number 20 on the bench. Watkins in the right back area, takes it to the byline, then turns, gives it back to Henderson. And the England captain this evening back to Dunk. Dunk playing as the left-sided central defender and Tomori as the right, incidentally. I think it makes a very interesting question with Mark Gay not starting the match tonight, having done so well in the 2 matches last month, what the central defensive pairing will be against Italy on Tuesday night. Maguire, Stones, or would Gay force his way into it? Bowen on the right-hand side. Bowen and Gallagher again together. Gallagher's cross, that's blocked. Australia should clear, they do clear. Up towards Tamori, who I think committed a foul there, he did. It's a free kick to Australia.
I'm just going back to your point, John. I just wonder whether it's a situation with how is John Stones, how is he feeling, how's he playing at the moment, and what's his fitness levels quite at? Are they trying to protect him a little bit and just have him in and around the squad? And they might just play Gehi and Maguire in that game.
What do you think, Paul?
It's a difficult one. We know that the manager always goes back to Harry Maguire. We know the respect and the understanding that the two have got, and he seems to be his go-to man regardless of whether he's playing in the Premier League or not. Likewise, the centre-half partnership will be as interesting as the defensive midfield partnership. There's 4 positions there on the pitch, which on Tuesday I suspect the manager he's kind of decided, but tonight might sway him that way. But I think Gehi will play. I think he's played excellently when he has done, and I think the manager likes him, and I just think John Stones' lack of recent game time may affect his selection.
Yeah, if England win here on Tuesday night against Italy, then their qualification will be confirmed for Euro 2024. Tamori just taking the ball down and playing it back to goalkeeper Johnston. Italy play tomorrow night, by the way, in a qualifier against Malta, who are bottom of the group without a point. England coming forward through the middle, but an overhead pass from centre field from Alexander-Arnold in that central position again, Stephen.
Yeah, but it was a lovely run from Watkins, and that was just saying before, if you've got players in the team who can pick a pass, as Australia come on the break.
They do, down the left-hand side with Goodwin, who's got a little bit of space, but not for long, because Alexander-Arnold comes across, and before he can whip it in left-footed, Alexander-Arnold puts a foot in and blocks it behind for a corner.
Yeah, he's doing really well at that, Goodwin. He's realising that Trent Alexander-Arnold is going into that midfield position, so he's almost cheating ever so slightly, just holding his width on that left-hand side. Australia players know then, every time that they win the ball back and there's a turnover, that they can hit that ball into that left-hand channel for Goodwin to get on the end of.
And it's Goodwin who's going to take it, who plays for Al Wehda in Saudi Arabia. Played at the World Cup for Australia. Most of these players were involved in the run to the last 16 when they narrowly lost to the eventual winners, Argentina. Goodwin with a deep corner this to the back post, but the referee spotted an infringement. There's an England player down, presumably has been fouled. Not sure who it is inside the 6-yard box.
I think it's Jordan Henderson.
Henderson, isn't it? Yeah. Who's holding his face. He's lying on his right side, and there's just a collision inside the. Sort of ran into one another, didn't they? Kai rolls. But I think Henderson's all right.
Yeah, he should be fine. I don't think there was much in it at all. I think he's just bought that free kick, if anything. Jordan Henderson, slightest bit of contact, hit the deck and gives the referee a question that she has to answer and gives England the free kick.
Yeah, so Italy here on Tuesday night, but interesting news about Sandro Tonali and Nicola Zanolio, who have left the Italian squad following an investigation by prosecutors from Turin, which has obviously gained quite a lot of interest here with 2 English-based players, so they won't be involved. Here's Bowen down the right-hand side. Bowen playing it back though to Alexander-Arnold, who's behind him. Alexander-Arnold, who did very well in the 2 matches in June, playing in a central midfield role, which does make we wonder whether that might be an option for England on Tuesday night as well. But he is, for the most part, a right back today. It's 0-0, England 0, Australia 0. 5 Live here at Wembley, where I think the rain has just about eased for the time being. Alexander-Arnold up to Watkins. Watkins tries to lay it off. It's won back centrally by Maddison, but it runs away from him, and goalkeeper Ryan can clear.
You'll be very happy that the rain's gone off, because you forgot your coat, haven't you, John?
Well, a man in the lift said to me tonight, I said, what do you think the weather's going to be? And he said, it's going to rain till 9 o'clock, then it's going to stop. You'll be all right after that.
Oh, OK.
So I said, well, thanks very much. Here's Grealish on the left-hand side. Now Maddison in the full-back area. Maddison takes on the defender, but it bounces out to Grealish. Grealish now drifting infield, but Australia have got 2 men on him whenever Grealish gets the ball in these early stages. Almost 20 minutes played. Back to Lewis Dunk, who I think, I don't know about you, I think he very much deserves his place after the way that he played at Hampden.
Absolutely.
Lewis Dunk, ball into the penalty area now for Maddison. It might bounce through for Grealish, but there's just too much green and gold in there. And Australia, well organised, they're not going to let England have any space in there if they can help it.
No, absolutely not. And that's what I was saying before the game is that they're an organised team, they're a very well drilled team, and they try and they've done it again, they turn over the ball so often because of the press that they have.
Colwell gave it away on the halfway line there, but Australia couldn't take advantage, and the ball was swept out of play for a throw-in, misplaced pass, and England have a throw-in inside their own half.
John, they just give you that feeling, Australia, that you have to force the ball because of how tight they are, how organised they are. That's what they want you to do. They want you to try and thread eye of a needle ball, and it's so difficult, and they're set up for that.
So here is Dunk at the back, the rugged Lewis Dunk of Brighton and Hove Albion. I think very much putting himself in a position where he could be in the squad for Germany, as Conor Gallagher is caught. Challenge came in, it actually bounced away from Gallagher, and Conor Metcalfe actually slid in and committed the foul, and I think Metcalfe has come off worst here, even though it's an England free kick.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good challenge as well. I thought Conor Gallagher was probably a little bit late to it. It is the other way. It's actually Cameron Burgess who gets his ankle stamped on, and it should be a foul the other way. I don't know how England have managed to get that free kick. It's the wrong decision.
Yeah, it is actually. It's Burgess, isn't it? The Ipswich Town man, and you're right. We know because we've seen the replay. It was actually Conor Gallagher who stepped on his ankle.
Yeah.
The free kick's gone England's way. So a little fortunate there. 0-0, England 0, Australia 0. Massive weekend of sport. Again, all 4 Rugby Union World Cup quarter-finals, 5 Live is the place to hear them. 2 tomorrow, starting with Wales-Argentina at 4 o'clock, and 2 on Sunday, including England against Fiji. But also, early in the morning tomorrow, India against Pakistan at the Cricket World Cup. That huge stadium in Ahmedabad. So 9:30 start for India-Pakistan. Every match at the Cricket World Cup you can hear on BBC Radio. But this Friday night international football, match of relatively few chances so far. In fact, Australia have probably come closest with that Bacchus shot, the deflected shot that was saved by Johnston, whereas England's best moment was probably the Gallagher and Bowen move, wasn't it, down the right-hand side. Here's one over the top for Bowen to chase, but Ryan comes out to the edge of his penalty area and clutches the bouncing ball.
He's done that well a couple of times now, Matty Ryan, making sure that his position's high, understanding that England players will look to play that ball over the top into Ollie Watkins, but they've turned the ball over again. They're attacking again, Australia.
Watkins claiming that he was fouled by Goodwin, but no free kick, and now Australia with it on the right-hand side. Boyle, ball across the box. Oh, what a shot that is, right-footed, and it flashes just wide of the top right corner. What an opportunity that was, I must say. I thought from Mitch Duke that was going to make the net ripple.
Oh, if he'd have scored it, he'd have subbed himself. This was unbelievably unlucky from Mitch Duke. He just wraps his foot around it as it comes in from the right-hand side. The connection is outstanding. It must skim the outside of the post towards the top corner. Sam Johnston's at full stretch. He'd have got nowhere near it. Such was the quality of the strike. But, John, that is exactly the danger that Australia possess.
It is, and England are fortunate that it's still 0-0. Grealish has been fouled over on the far side, but he's back on his feet quickly. He's okay. And Tamori with the ball on the edge of the penalty area, back to Johnston, who wasn't getting close to that, diving up to his left, but if that had been just inside the top corner, that would have been 1-0 Australia. Just keeping an eye on the other matches tonight, because teams can qualify tonight from the other groups. But here's Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side. Alexander-Arnold just touches it away from Rolls, and then a cross-field pass to Grealish, who unusually, actually his touch just let him down, and the ball ran away from him. Comes back centrally to Henderson, then back towards the centre circle, just forward of the centre circle. Conor Gallagher now onto the ball, and back it goes into the centre circle to Tamori. It is Austria 0, Belgium 1, and if Belgium win tonight, they will qualify. And France are winning 1-0 away against the Netherlands. Kylian Mbappe has scored that goal, and similarly France will qualify tonight if they win. So Netherlands 0, France 1. Portugal also winning 1-0 against Slovakia. Gonzalo Ramos with the goal there, and also they're another team, Portugal. If they win tonight, they will be through to next summer's finals. Australia defending, but in possession, and Harry Souttar, right-footed, clears it away towards the halfway line, where Henderson knocks it to Colwell. And then Henderson again infield, but Gallagher goes all the way back into central defence to Lewis Dunk. So still 0-0 with the first quarter of the match played, and England really yet to properly test Ryan. Ball played forward down the left-hand side, and now well, he's got it all wrong there, Maddison, and the offside flag in any case, as you anticipated, Stephen, would come. And I think, as we say, that has spared the blushes of James Maddison after an awful shot.
Well, I don't know whether it has. It was so bad it went out for a throw-in. Yes, he tries to strike the ball, it just bobbles, as you do very well on Wembley to find a bobble, but James Maddison has just found it. As it sits up, he strikes across the ball, and it's horrible.
Paul Robinson?
As the TV cameras pan over to his manager, Ange Postecoglou there, sat in the stand watching him in that number 10 role. Yes, listen, it's not one thing that I enjoy talking about, bobbles, especially not playing for England, but James Maddison did certainly pick up one then.
Yeah, let's draw a veil over that. I cannot believe that the surface looks absolutely perfect here at Wembley. Ball into the penalty area for England. Oh, took a chance there, Suter playing it back to Ryan with Watkins not far away, but Ryan was aware of what was coming from Suter and got rid on his right foot, sharpish.
Yeah, he wanted him to come for it a little bit earlier and then just give him a hospital pass, and it wasn't the greatest of balls. Matty Ryan did well to deal with it, just got it away as quick as he could. England need to move the ball quicker, John. They've got to shift this Australia team out of position, or you've got to get individuals on the ball, i.e. a Jack Grealish, Maddison or a Jarrod Bowen, and then drive at the heart of Australia's team and draw players out of position, as Jack Grealish starts to do.
Grealish playing it through, but Watkins was clearly offside there by 2 or 3 yards. Thing is, though, with this Australia team, this packed central midfield, Maddison tonight getting the chance to play as a number 10, and there's no space in there.
No, by playing Trent Alexander-Arnold in there, you're asking then Conor Gallagher to play higher up the pitch, and James Maddison is almost being stuck to the left of the forward three. Jack Grealish is playing a little bit deeper, and Conor Gallagher's actually suffocating the space of James Maddison where he wants to go on the pitch. England 0, Australia 0.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. A flick sends the ball all the way through from Boyle to Tomori, who plays it to his right to Alexander-Arnold, who was in the right back position but then moves forward again centrally. So Tomori uses Jarrod Bowen on the halfway line, whose touch was very heavy there, and Australia have got it back. Now here's Rolls, receives it from Goodwin, and then the run from Jackson Irvine down into the full-back position, but that's blocked out of play for a throw-in. Yes, the well-travelled Jackson Irvine, as well as when you were with him at Burton, also Celtic, Kilmarnock, Ross County, Hull City, Hibernian, and now top of the second division, Bundesliga 2, with St. Pauli. Rolls with the throw for Australia. Tomori heads it out of play. It's another Australian corner.
You could practice your German with him after the game, John.
I could do. Yes, that goes back to when we were in Munich together, doesn't it?
Fantastic.
Well, I know Steve Crossman, our colleague Steve Crossman, who will be presenting from France tomorrow, does love a Bundesliga 2. England 0, Australia 0, and this corner from the left, so packed penalty area between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. The delivery is deep to the back post, but it's headed away to the edge of the box, steered back out to the left-hand side, where it is driven in right-footed and deflected across the 6-yard box. It just needs to finish, and it's prodded over the top of the bar. It bounced down, 8 yards out, and it was a reaction effort. I think it was Rolls, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
That's 2 he's had now from corners, 2 opportunities. They're such a big team, Australia, but what they do really well is that they don't just try and pump it in on the second ball. They recycle it, they put it out to a wide position. Sutar's causing problems, Burgess is causing problems, and it's 3 corners that they've had now, and they've had opportunities from them.
They have, and they've created more problems for England than England have for Australia. But Maddison plays it through to Watkins. Ryan comes out, and Watkins shoots against the post from the angle. And then Australia clear it, and they are suggesting, where is the offside flag? Which hasn't come. But it wasn't, you say, Stephen, but Australia coming forward. So if that had ended up in the back of the net from Ollie Watkins, it would have counted.
We were bang in line with it. It was right on our eye line, and Ollie Watkins, he timed the run to perfection as he ran in behind. It would have been close, it would have been very tight, but it looked good from where we were. He did so well. Credit to Matty Ryan, though, again playing that high line. He didn't dive in on Watkins, he pushed him as wide as he could. Would the defender have got there, Kai Rolls, to get it just off the line? He almost collided with the post as he tried to clear it, but great attacking play by England.
Paul Robinson in a moment, but here's Grealish on the left-hand side. So that's England's best moment, or at least the closest they've come to an opening goal, and it was Maddison who found the pass through to Ollie Watkins. It was a tight one, but no flag. But as Ryan came out, actually did quite well, Matty Ryan, the way that he came out to an angle and forced Watkins a little wider, and then he shot against the post.
Stephen touched on it earlier, his depth perception has been excellent. The reading of the through ball, one of the hardest things for a goalkeeper to do is read the straight ball through. Australia were playing a high line against the pace of Watkins, and that was the first time tonight it's really been breached. Maddison found space in midfield, looked up, and Watkins was away. Maddison timed the pass to perfection, but Ryan really did get his distance and his angle right and forced Watkins out wide.
Ollie Watkins there, so close to what would have been his third goal for England. He hasn't played for England since the March of last year, the friendly here against Ivory Coast, which was one of the sort of build-up games to the World Cup for England. He started that match and he scored in that match, but this is the first time he's played for England since. Obviously he wasn't in the World Cup squad. Australia bringing the ball out from the back. That is nicely worked. And now centrally it is Bacchus who plays it forward. A run down into the full-back position by Boyle, but the referee has indicated it's a throw into Australia on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the box that Goodwin is going to take. He's got Rolls behind him. In fact, he's going to leave it to Rolls to take the throw. He wants to go for one of these long throws that we've seen from him. He's stealing probably about 10 yards to take it near the corner flag. Rolls' throw into the near post is flicked on, then headed forward into the edge of the 6-yard box by Goodwin, but an easy take for Johnston.
Yeah, a bit of a wasted opportunity for Australia there. Set it up, make sure that it's properly organised when you are taking advantage of a long throw. We're just seeing that replay on the screens in front of us from England's attack. Watkins looks like he was onside. It was perfectly timed, the run, and the ball from James Maddison. I think do you know what? I actually think he tips it onto the post here, Rolls, as he gets towards the ball. Just the slightest of touches, maybe, as it hits the post.
Well defended by Rolls. You know, the shot was sort of rolled goalwards by Watkins from the left side of the area. So it gave Rolls a chance to get back in there and chase it to the line. And as Stephen Warnock says, maybe a little touch onto the post and then away. It's a good spot of yours to say that he was onside, because there wasn't much in that.
Got my glasses on, John.
You have.
Confident when I've got these on.
Yes, your two Ronnies. England 0, Australia 0, and Australia playing it out from the back with Bacchus. And now Rolls has given it away, passed it straight to Alexander Arnold. Less than 15 minutes of the first half to go, still 0-0. England with that one clear chance, really, and Australia will feel that they probably should be ahead.
Yeah, they should be. I have to say, Australia are a better team when they're reacting to things, when they press and then they can sort of counter-attack. When they're asked to play out from the back and they're asked to try and break England down, they find it really difficult. That's not their strength at all, so they're enjoying actually soaking up this pressure, and it suits them the way they're set up.
Australia playing it back to Ryan, who rather unconvincingly clears, so Gallagher heads it forward for England, the Chelsea man, and then a foul committed by Colwell. So
here we go.
And there's a little bit of pushing and shoving in there. Bacchus and Colwell bounce bodies together, and referee Frappart, you can hear the whistle being blown repeatedly, and she's going to speak to Colwell and Bacchus. I don't think he needs to get involved in that sort of thing on his England debut.
Well, I don't think I'd be squaring up to Colwell either. He's a big lad, isn't he? But to be fair to Bacchus, he's not Small-shouldered himself, he's quite a big lad. I'm not so sure there's any need for 2 yellow cards within that situation. It's 2 players who are just intent on going for the ball, trying a little bit of emotion within the situation. Absolutely no need for that.
Republic of Ireland are 1-0 down in Dublin against Greece. Been a miserable qualifying campaign really for Republic of Ireland, who could be out tonight if they lose. So Republic of Ireland 0, Greece 1. France still 1-0 up in Netherlands, and Portugal now 2-0 up on Slovakia. Cristiano Ronaldo has scored his 786th goal for Portugal. Here coming forward, and that is Conor Gallagher, who's taken down Craig Goodwin, and that's a yellow card immediately for Conor Gallagher for that.
Oh, that looked nasty. When you see it again, just his standing leg, and he steps on the back of it. It's a poor challenge from Conor Gallagher. When you think of the way Goodwin stepped away from him, he just stands on his ankle, and his ankle rocks. It's a horrible one to see. It's a poor challenge from Gallagher.
Let's bring in Paul Robinson again.
Frustrating, I think, from Gallagher there, wasn't it? Lunged with 2 feet with no real need to. I mean, that's 3 decisions you've called there, Stephen. I think, this call for ex-players on VAR, you've called an offside there with the naked eye.
Well,
the 2
the
bookings.
I don't know the rules, though.
And your old team, Liverpool, could have done with you a few weeks on VAR, that is for sure.
Well, you were there, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah, you were at that match. When I was at the Ryder Cup, you were at that match. Correct. So you were right there in the thick of it, the famous game, Tottenham-Liverpool. Free kick then, Goodwin plays it in, he's okay, and then the header from the angle, but that's straight at Johnston. And I've got a feeling that was Rolls again, wasn't it? He was in there again. That's his 3rd opportunity, the left back.
I think he's got a magnet in that headband that he's got on, because every time the ball comes in, he's the one that it gravitates to. It keeps on going towards him, gets a good header on it, but just can't quite get the direction he wants.
They're really causing England some problems from the set plays. It's something that they clearly worked on. We saw that through the World Cup. We know that the Australian team isn't going to be as strong as other teams that they play against, and they have to find a way to disrupt so-called better teams. And with long good throws and balls into the box, that's what they do.
And now Jordan Henderson's been fouled round about the halfway line, and there's a little bit of that wasn't a great challenge either by Conor Metcalfe, but Henderson's okay. England, Australia, so there's a bit of edge in it, but it's England, Australia.
Yeah, you fully expect that. You're expecting Australia to come here and lie down and have the bellies tickled. They're expecting them to come here and be aggressive in the way that they're going to play, and that's exactly what we're seeing from them so far.
Half-time approaching, less than 10 minutes of the first half to go. England 0, Australia 0. I mean, it was a sellout. That was what the FA said tonight. I can still see quite a lot of empty red seats. It certainly wasn't full at the start of the match, but it was 7:45 kick-off in London on a Friday night. But I would say it would be around about 80,000, maybe 70-odd thousand, something like that. But a great turnout in the corner. The green and gold, they love their sport, don't they, Australia? And they've obviously been involved here at Wembley in other sporting contests as Australia come forward, and it is Boyle on the right-hand side, but a wasted shot there. He went for it. He had options inside the penalty area, but he went for glory, and he sliced it well wide of the near post.
Well, considering we've got so many bodies in midfield, we're getting overrun every single time, and when they win the ball back, Australia, a simple switch of play is enabling them to get out on the opposite side, and we're finding ourselves outnumbered. A lot of questions being asked tonight of Gareth and his tactics. Let's see what he can do and how he can counteract that, because again, they lose the ball, England, and Australia come forward.
Grealish has given it away to Conor Metcalfe, but Australia go back into their own half. Well, obviously there are any number of options for England on the bench, most of what you would call the first choice players, whether it's Kane, whether it's Bellingham, Declan Rice, they're all there on the bench. Phil Foden. I suspect we will see Eddie Nketiah, I feel, having been involved in the squad for a second time this month and having not yet got onto the field. But Alexander-Arnold will have to deal with this. Actually, it's bounced to Craig Goodwin for Australia, and then the ball played infield, arriving. It's Rolls again. Rolls with a low cross into the area. It hits Alexander-Arnold, bounces down, and Gallagher will play it back for Bowen to clear up towards Watkins, but he's still almost halfway inside his own half when he came to challenge for that. And now Bowen with a little bit of space on the right-hand side. Gallagher's there as well. outside him. Gallagher now infield towards Maddison, might open up for him. Maddison takes a touch, gives it to Watkins on the edge of the penalty area. The challenge from Strain on him, then Henderson forward again to James Maddison, who goes back, and now Australia are back in position again, and it's all very congested through the middle.
They're brilliant at that, Australia. The recovery runs are quite brilliant. They know that they're in trouble. They know that they're getting outnumbered in a certain position. They flood numbers back to recover into position, and if they can just delay for a couple of seconds, it allows the recovery runs to get back into position, and that's what they've done. England need to continue to move that ball quicker and to try and take people on in 1v1 situations.
This is the first of 2 matches this month for Australia here in London. So they're actually going to play New Zealand at Brentford on Tuesday night. I don't know if tickets are still available for that, but if you're around you might fancy that. But this is all part of the preparation. They start their World Cup qualifiers next month, when incidentally one of their matches is due to be Palestine away. So who knows what's going to happen with that. Very difficult to see that going ahead. But then the Asian Cup matches in January, and then more World Cup qualifiers. They're in the Asian Federation, remember, Australia. Here's Grealish on the left-hand side. Maddison, Grealish, I think, was fouled after the ball went, and referee just waited to see if there was any advantage there. And actually, out comes another yellow card for, that must be Strain, who put in the challenge on Jack Grealish. Again, late, another yellow card.
He just dives in a little bit Strain, tries to be aggressive with Grealish. Grealish just flicks the ball inside, almost clotheslined him, then gets his arms round Grealish, make sure it doesn't get away. It was a yellow card, that one. She gets that one right. Yeah. Stephanie Frappart.
And it's the English-born Ryan Strain, Coventry-born St Mirren man, who was sent off against Rangers last weekend. Free kick. England play it in, takes a glance off Souta's head, and that runs right across into the full-back position where Rolls will play it up towards Goodwin, who turns Alexander-Arnold. They absolutely loved that, the Australian fans in the corner. Now Australia move it forward towards Duke, who's out here on the left-hand side. Then infield towards Bacchus, out to Strain on the far side. He actually started off at the Aston Villa Academy, just like Jack Grealish. Back into the centre circle for Australia. And then Rolls. Goodwin again with his heels on the white line. Bowen comes back. It's still 0-0 if you've just switched on to us on 5 Live on this Friday night. As Australia, who've had the better of it, they've looked more like a team than England, in all honesty.
Absolutely. They look so organised. They believe the game plan and what they're trying to achieve, and it's working for them so far. They're frustrating England. Like you say, John, they've also had the better opportunities.
Yes. Ollie Watkins shot against a post, notwithstanding. Alexander-Arnold comes in and gets the ball off Lewis Dunk, and then a short pass through the middle to his former clubmate Jordan Henderson. Now here's Fikayo Tomori. Just rolls his foot over the ball and then passes it back into centre field. Tomori was one of the players who didn't play last month as well, like Eddie Nketiah. So from that point of view, probably no surprise that he was in the starting lineup tonight. And after all, that's something else that Gareth Southgate has looked at tonight, to see Tomori and Dunk together. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, the changes, I mean, it's all been a little bit predictable for England in possession. It's been very slow. The understanding amongst the side, they look like a team of players who haven't played together before. They've had one great chance through Watkins, but the possession's been slow. Everything's been in front of Australia, and they haven't really caused them many problems. Yes, they've had the majority of the possession. They've had all the ball in front of Australia, but when Australia have the ball, they play with intent, they play forward, and they try and cause England problems. It's been a little bit too methodical.
Bowen and Maddison, back to Bowen, and Bowen wins what is England's first corner after the defender came across and deflected it out. I see that Rolls has got a black headband on now, and England with this corner from the right-hand side that Maddison is waiting to take. Grealish has come all the way across here, and he's saying that Goodwin's not 10 yards away from the corner taker. Maddison actually plays it back to Alexander-Arnold. First time ball into the area. Bowen with it. A glancing, a falling header. He was trying to deflect it inside the far post, but got too much on it, and Ryan was able to come across him and catch the bouncing ball.
Yeah, nice to see that there is a little bit of thought process going into the free kick or the corner, the set piece. making sure that they try and shift the Australians out of position. We know how big they are. They've been dangerous from their own set pieces. I think Jared Bowen's just trying to help that header on, to put it into an area to help it, let a teammate then attack the ball. But good play from England.
England 0, Australia 0. And Ryan just picking the ball up inside his penalty area and underarming it out to Burgess. Goodwin now halfway inside his own half, rolls, plays it infield to Bacchus, who shrugs off Maddison. Then a right-footed ball through the middle, across comes Colwell. Oh, good work though by Duke, then across, and the chance here is blocked on the edge of the 6-yard box, with Dunk and Johnston both sliding in there. The final touch after the shot from Duke, I think, came off Dunk, which deflected it up and over the top of the crossbar. But again, Australia so close to taking the lead.
John, it's actually Ryan Strain who has the shot, the right back, who finds himself in the centre forward position. Lovely play from Bacchus, who's been the outstanding player for Australia in the first half. Turns the midfielder, puts a lovely ball over the top, and then unselfish work by Duke sets him up. But credit to Lewis Dunk, he doesn't give it up. It beats Sam Johnston, but Lewis Dunk sliding in on the line diverts the ball over the bar. Brilliant from Lewis Dunk.
Yeah, brilliant from Dunk, but England fortunate again not to be behind. So another Australian corner. This is their 4th of the first half. Ready for the delivery now from over on the far side. Left-footed delivery. This is high towards the back post, and it's headed down and into the ground and up, landing on the roof of the net. So we're into 1 minute of added time, and it was big Harry Souttar who was the man who got his head to that but couldn't deflect it on target. Paul Robinson
should score, Strange, shouldn't he? I mean, he finds himself high up the field, right back there. If that's a striker in that position, I think he puts it into the corner. I mean, it was a decent block by Duncan Johnson between them, but I think the opportunity that he had, he should do better in that situation. But once again, it shows England's defensive susceptibility. Once they turn over possession, they lose possession, and they are susceptible at the back.
As Watkins is fouled by Souttar. Referee's just going to see if an advantage develops. Grealish turns, gives it back to Watkins, who's into the area now towards the byline, and then the recovering challenge comes in, which deflects it behind. And Souttar, well, he did well there, big Harry Souttar, to dive in and challenge Watkins and send it behind for a corner.
Well, once he gets his legs going, Souttar, he can move, he can motor, and he had to there to get back into position. It was his initial foul on Ollie Watkins. Watkins recovered, but so did Souttar, to make sure, and the rising Australians in that far corner appreciated everything about that recovery.
What a tackle that is, what a tackle. He had no margin for error there whatsoever.
The corner is taken short, and the referee blows the whistle as Maddison and Grealish are playing nice little patterns into the penalty area, and both Maddison and Grealish are just asking the French referee, was it absolutely necessary to blow the whistle right at that moment?
I think the Australians will be delighted, but the English will be absolutely furious that they weren't allowed to do it. However, late on in the game, put the ball in the box, then ask the question.
Well, Australia have done well, 0-0.
Australia have done excellently well. We talked pre-game as to what they would offer and what type of opposition there would be for England, and they've showed that. Listen, it's been disappointing from an England point of view. I think you can obviously tell by the commentary. It's been a slow, methodical performance. England have had the majority of the possession, over 70% of possession. But if we're sat here now talking about Australia going in at half-time, 1 or 2 up, you wouldn't be surprised. They've sat deep. They've made it very difficult for England. James Maddison has struggled to get in the game. Jack Grealish has struggled to get in the game. Trent Alexander-Arnold, because the midfield is so packed. The Australians have been great at the recovery runs, at stopping England, and it's just been, they've frustrated England when England have had possession.
It's incredible that I spoke about it in commentary, saying that we're crowding the midfield, but it's been our most vulnerable area. I mean, Bacchus and Jackson Irvine will have been saying before this game, this is going to be so difficult because of the quality that England possess in those midfield areas. We're going to have to be at our brilliant best today. I don't even think they've been at their best. I think they've just found it very easy to break on England and counter-attack.
Yeah, Watkins with a shot against the post, which was perhaps just deflected onto the post. That was England's big chance, but Australia, well, a whole list of chances, most notably Bacchus's deflected shot that was saved by Johnston, and then the shot by Strain that was deflected over the bar by a sliding Lewis Dunk. So England 0, Australia 0 at half-time here at Wembley, and I'm sure that Darren Fletcher will have questions from a distance.
Questions for the panel here, Roma. Thank you, John. Paul, Stephen, stay with me for now. I'll just give you some match stats from the first half. 67% possession for England, but that translated to 7 shots to 3 in Australia's favour, 3 shots to 1 on target in Australia's favour, 4 corners to 2 in Australia's favour. I mean, I kind of take back, Stephen, everything I said about being excited to see some of the players in the England team. That was flat, the first half from England.
Yeah, it really was, and Robbo said before the game, this is an opportunity for you to put your hand up and say, stake a claim to the England manager. Well, I don't think there's really been anyone who can say that tonight, who's really played with any freedom. But what I will say is, it's the perfect game to play before Italy, because they are frustrating England. They're finding it difficult to play through. The England players are struggling to find space on the pitch, and that's exactly the type of challenge that you'd want. So I know people were sort of questioning the game before it, how much of a challenge is this going to be for England? Anyone who watches football and understands will know that England have vulnerabilities at the back, and you can take advantage of them. Credit to Australia, they've come here with a game plan and they're executing it really well, and they're going to have to carry that out for another 45 minutes, but so far so good.
Paul, the counter to that would be, yes, this might replicate some of the challenges England might face against Italy, but hardly any of this team are going to play against Italy.
Yeah, that's a fair comment, but they've been given their opportunity tonight, and they look like a team who haven't played together. The understanding wasn't there. I mean, we're all used to watching England friendlies at Wembley, and this is a very friendly from an England point of view. The usual amount of possession, ball rotation among the back four, keeping possession in their own half, nearly 70% possession, like you say. But then when it actually comes to penetration to the final third of the field, there's been nobody there that's had the key for the door. There's been no spark. It has been flat in previous matches. The Ukraine game, for example, recently the criticism was levelled at Gareth Southgate for the lack of a spark, for the lack of invention, and that was apparent tonight. But you can understand that to an extent, because these are a group of players who haven't played together and who have been given a chance this evening to show what they can do.
Fellas, thank you. Second half to come then. John Murray, Stephen Warnock, Paul Robinson at Wembley. We can only hope there's more action from an England standpoint in the second 45 minutes. Mike says maybe Southgate should take a leaf out of the under-21s book, who showed last night that actually playing front foot attacking football is the best form of defence. And Luke said games like this should be a chance for England to put the world on notice as to how dominant they can be. At the moment, the world has nothing to worry about. Coming up on 5 Live, we'll look forward to tomorrow's Rugby League Grand Final with Dave Woods and Kev Brown. But first, let's get the latest news from Nick Hatfield.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Good evening. The Israeli military says it's already launched raids inside Gaza as the deadline approaches for 1 million Palestinians in northern areas of the territory to leave. Israel says the aim is to remove terrorists and search for hostages. It comes ahead of an expected ground offensive against Hamas. Our international editor Jeremy Bowen is in Jerusalem.
Armies have a lot to do to get all their forces in a row for putting on what is a very complex operation. There is intelligence stuff they need to sort out as well. They want to go after the leaders who are in Gaza of Hamas. So I think they would very much like perhaps to start their operation with some kind of enormous strike, some secret command bunker or something like that.
Well, a stream of vehicles is heading south and some people are on foot as they leave the north of the Gaza Strip. The head of the UN, Antonio Guterres, has been speaking about the evacuation in the last hour.
Moving more than 1 million people across a densely populated war zone to a place with no food, water or accommodation when the entire territory is under siege is extremely dangerous and in some cases simply not possible. Hospitals in the south of Gaza are already at capacity and will not be able to accept thousands of new patients from the north.
According to Palestinian health officials, more than 1,800 people have been killed in Gaza since Israel began bombing the territory after the attacks by Hamas nearly a week ago. Israel says more than 1,300 of its citizens were killed. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also been updating reporters in the last hour.
We've only just started. Our enemies have only started paying the price. And I will not go into further detail about what still lies ahead. We've only just started. In my talks with President Biden and other leaders around the world, and resulting from many other efforts, we are mobilizing for Israel a great international support.
In other news tonight, President Macron has condemned what he calls the barbarity of Islamist terrorism after an attack at a school in northern France left a teacher dead. 2 other people were injured by a man with a knife in the town of Arras. A suspect is under arrest. The Met Police say they've asked for 24 people who attended a party at Conservative headquarters during lockdown to receive a fine. They've been investigating the event in 2020, which was organised by the campaign team of London mayoral candidate Sean Bailey. And the biggest ever deal in the gaming industry has been signed off by regulators. Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard, which makes Call of Duty, World of Warcraft and Candy Crush for £56 billion.
It takes just one day to overcome your opponents.
One day to fill your nation with pride.
One day to become a hero. The ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023.
Hear every ball, every boundary and every wicket.
Live on the BBC.
And on Sunday morning at 9:30, England face Afghanistan on 5 Sports Extra.
Plus, get the TMS podcast every day throughout the tournament.
Download and subscribe now.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport with Darren Fletcher.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
So second half commentary of England against Australia to come from Wembley. A few bits of sports news for you. Former England and Essex captain Sir Alistair Cook has announced his retirement from cricket at the age of 38. Meanwhile, New Zealand made it 3 wins out of 3 at the Cricket World Cup after an 8-wicket win over Bangladesh. Owen Farrell will start at fly half for England's Rugby World Cup quarter-final with Fiji on Sunday. George Ford is on the bench. Commentary of all 4 quarter-finals here on 5 Live Sport. In the Gallagher Premiership, Bristol lead Leicester 22-0 at Ashton Gate. You can hear commentary on 5 Sports Extra right now. Tottenham's Ange Postecoglou has made history by becoming the first manager to win the Premier League Manager of the Month award twice in his first 2 months in the job. Meanwhile, Sheffield Wednesday have appointed former Germany assistant coach Danny Roll as their new manager. And Great Britain's Dina Asher-Smith has split with her coach John Blackie after 19 years together. OK, then, tomorrow is the climax to the men's English Rugby League season as Wigan Warriors and Catalan Dragons meet in the Super League Grand Final at Old Trafford. Former England captain Sam Tomkins started his career at the Warriors and won 3 Super League titles there. Now at the Dragons, it'll be his last match before retirement, and he says this is the most significant title match he's ever played in.
It'd be the biggest final for me. Just in terms of the magnitude of what it do for French Rugby League. You know, we're very unique in that, you know, we're the only foreign side. We fly from France every week to play games, and there's a lot of work, a lot of really good people at the club that work very, very hard, and the only way to repay them is with silverware.
So Rugby League correspondent Dave Woods and former England international Kevin Brown join me now to look ahead to the final. Woodsy, welcome to the programme. I nearly said the Friday Football Social, but we're not falling out tonight, so it's just a normal night.
Excellent, lovely to be here. And building up to what should be a fantastic grand final tomorrow. Second grand final in 3 years for Catalan Dragons, but as you say, they've never won it. And is that fairy tale on? You know, we've seen grand final fairy tales in the past. 2015, Kev Sinfield, Jamie Peacock, Kylie Luluai bowing out their fabulous careers with a grand final win. Is it going to be something similar tomorrow, or do Wigan have an ace up their sleeve? Well, they do. They have several aces up their sleeves, so it's going to be a fascinating watch.
So we've seen it before, Kevin. If it's a Wigan win, it would be a record-extending 23rd Super League championship for them. But if Catalans do manage to do it, historic day for them.
Massive day for the Catalan Dragons just to get here again. It was huge a couple of years ago, but they've got that experience behind them now. The novelty will have wore off. They're going there to win the game. I think everyone expects Wigan to win and the clear favourites, but I don't think they are. I think it's very, very close. I think what Catalans did throughout the season, you know, probably for 90% of the season, they were the most consistent and the best side. They slipped up at the end, but probably with eyes on this final and resting a couple of key individuals, Sam Tomkins being one of them, Wigan pipped them for the lead. But it's definitely the two best sides. All the players are fit. So we're going to have an absolute mouth-watering game tomorrow night.
Dave, if we look at the table, they were first and second during the regular season, level on points, only separated by points difference. They claimed one win each over each other. So, I mean, if you kind of look at it, it's the perfect scenario, isn't it? It should be these two at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, every year we go into the playoffs and, you know, teams up to sixth position have a chance of making a grand final. Leeds did it from a long way out last year. But I think you always feel it's a better final if it is first against second. But like you said, it has been one of the tightest Super Leagues we've ever seen, because back in third place, you know, all the way back in third place, was St Helens, who also finished on the same number of points as Wigan as Catalan, and they were only third because of points difference. Catalan beat them last week in a semi-final. That Sam Tomkins try in the last seconds to win the game in front of a screaming capacity crowd. You know, that could work two ways. That could have been their emotional high, and can they do it again for the final? Or it could be, well, we've got self-belief here. We can win these tight matches against champion teams, and we can do it in moments of high drama and with a lot of energy going on around us. So who knows?
I'm going to give you 30 seconds each, Kevin, starting with you, to tell me who's going to win it tomorrow and why.
Well, there's an emotional connection for Catalans, I think. Obviously, with Sam Tomkins, the key one, but Mitchell Pearce also retires, and there's lots of players leaving the club. I think Wigan will win the game, though. I think they've blown everyone away, but if Catalans can take them into deep water, Wigan haven't been taken into an arm wrestle for a long, long time. So if Catalans can do that in 20, 30 minutes and dare I say it, score first, I believe they'll win the game. But I do think Wigan will blow Catalans away early on, and they'll hold on to be crowned champions once again.
Well, I was going to disagree with Kev, but actually I'm not sure what he said there. Who's going to win? I think he said Wigan are going to win. So if he's going to go Wigan are going to win, I've got to go Catalans are going to win because of that emotion, and because they'll become only the fifth team in history outside Wigan, Saints, Leeds and Bradford to actually win a grand final. It's a 26th grand final tomorrow. So that's another reason for maybe the neutrals back in Catalan.
Fellas, great to speak to you both tonight. I think one thing we can all agree on, we can't wait to watch it, can't wait to listen to it. It's going to be a great final. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Kevin.
Cheers, Fletch.
That's Dave Woods and Kevin Brown. And don't forget, Wigan Warriors, Catalan Dragons at Old Trafford, kick-off 6 o'clock and full commentary here on 5 Live Sport. Let's head back to Wembley, shall we? John Murray leading our team tonight. England against Australia, 0-0 at half-time. He's got Paul Robinson and Stephen Warnock alongside him. What about this second half then, fellas? What are we hoping to see from England?
Well, there's no sign of anyone warming up for England, so whether there are going to be changes or not, I have to say, I was assuming that there would be changes at half-time.
I fully thought there would be. Whether Garrett's going to give them an opportunity to rectify that first half and show what they can really do and try and change the game. Does he not want to risk any of the players for Tuesday night as well? These are all questions that we'll find out beginning in the second half.
Paul, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, go on, mate.
Are you and Stephen getting on well tonight? Is everything okay there?
Why do you ask?
Well, I'm just asking. It's just a fair question. It's just one mate to another. Everything okay?
Where's this going, Fletch?
Well, he took great delight in texting me during the first half to remind me that the time that Australia beat England, you played. So I wonder what had gone off in there tonight.
That's what it is.
Hang about. Hey, if you'd have looked at your phone when I messaged you, that was when we were chatting about it. You're only an hour late to the joke.
I tell you what, that's not bad timing for me, you know. That's quite quick for me. You should know that by now. Yeah, give me an hour's grace and I'm all right. John Murray can tell you that. Never been the brightest, John, have I?
Well, I think you might be hiding your light under a bushel there, Darren. Anyway, the teams are making their way out, and it looks as though neither team are going to make any changes. Of course, it was at this time, Paul, in that match 20 years ago when Sven-Göran Eriksson made all of the changes, changed the whole team at half-time, and you made your debut.
It certainly was, yeah. Like you say, a very proud moment making my England debut. But looking back in hindsight with the reflection that the game's got on it because of the 11 substitutions at half-time, I think it caused football's governing bodies to change a few rules at the times as well, didn't it?
Well, it did. It did, absolutely. 11 substitutions substitutions at half-time, and shortly after that, FIFA and UEFA said maximum of 6 changes in a friendly, and that's how it is to this day. So an infamous night at Upton Park, the only full England international that was ever played at West Ham's old ground 20 years ago. Well, the second half begins here. England 0, Australia 0. If you've just joined us, if you've been busy on your Friday and you've just got back into your car or whatever it happens to be, Australia had much the better of things in the first half. A consistency of selection from Graham Arnold. Just a couple of changes from their last match last month. They're getting ready for World Cup qualifiers. But England, with the big game against Italy here on Tuesday night, Gareth Southgate making 10 changes, and it's been a disjointed display from England. This England team is Johnston in goal, who's made one very good save so far. Alexander-Arnold, Tomori, Dunk and Colwell, the back four, so debut for Colwell. Henderson and Gallagher. Henderson is the captain. Bowen on the right, Grealish on the left. James Maddison behind Ollie Watkins. And Australia in the gold shirts, green shorts and gold socks, clearing the ball to the halfway line. They have Matty Ryan in goal, Ryan Strain, Harry Souttar, Cameron Burgess and Kai Rolls at the back, Bacchus, Irvine and Metcalf in midfield, Boyle, Duke and Goodwin up front. And the chance that they had late in the half for the right back, the English-born right back, Ryan Strain, Stephen Warnock, when we saw it again at half-time, really what an opportunity that was that he just didn't take.
Well, it just fell to the wrong person for Australia, but the right person for England's point of view. Should have almost just put his laces through it. He's too kind to it, tries to pass it into the back of the goal. In all fairness to him, he does actually beat Sam Johnston in the goal, but an incredible recovery challenge from Lewis Dunk prevents the goal.
England coming forward, playing from right to left in the second half here at Wembley Stadium, as they like to do. Grealish and Maddison, that breaks down, but it's won back, and Colwell is taking the ball forward and plays it through the middle, but that just runs all the way through to Ryan. It was between the run of Grealish and Watkins through the middle, but overhit from Colwell all the way through to the goalkeeper.
That's sort of summed up England's night so far. Lack of quality in the final third, the lack of ideas that England have managed to muster in this game against Australia, who have frustrated them for large parts of the game.
So it is still 0-0 in Australia's first match here. Only 2 teams have come and beaten England at Wembley in their first match at this stadium. A pass from centre field from Burgess. Now it's played in from the right-hand side from Metcalf, and then worked into the area. Goodwin just got away from him. A little touch there, importantly, from Gallagher to take it away. Goodwin again on the left-hand side, looks to get it back, which he does, down into the full-back position. Alexander-Arnold comes across, but Goodwin's beaten him, got the ball into the near post, but Tomori came across to clear it out for a throw on the far side. Goodwin causing problems again.
He's just an energiser, isn't he? One of them energiser bunnies who just, you know that you've got a challenge against all night, because he's not going to stop running. Relentless running from Goodwin, but he's also got quality as well. When he does get in that final third, he attacks fullbacks, he takes them on. Trent Alexander-Arnold's finding him difficult to play against.
Yeah, he's been scoring goals in Saudi Arabia for Al Wehda. 4 goals in 7 appearances. I bet he's absolutely loving the Wembley rain, although it is dry at the moment. Throwing on the left-hand side, Grealish deflected back into his own box, and then Dunk clears it, shot from the edge of the area straight at Johnson, but the whistle had already gone for the foul, I think, on Grealish. So it's a free kick to England. England 0, Australia 0, as England start to pass the ball out from the back. Still a lot of empty seats dotted around. I mean, it's a big crowd, don't get me wrong. I think it will be 70-odd thousand when the attendance finally comes. But from an England point of view, this could be a lot better. Gallagher down in the full-back position is fouled. It's a free kick. The Australian fans in that corner furious about that, but free kick is taken quickly. And as Evo said so often, it'll be interesting to see if England can move the ball more quickly in the second half. It's up to Grealish now, but he's halfway inside his own half. He's been forced all the way back by Ryan Strain, and he has to pass it back to goalkeeper Johnston.
Yeah, I think we need to let the listeners know that this isn't an Australia team that is just sitting deep and being compact and organised. They're pressing high from the front with 4 players as and when they can. If that press gets beat, they recover into positions really quickly to then snuff out the danger. So it's been really front-footed football from Australia and trying to win the ball back.
And you know, this is an Australian team, this is an international team one of those international teams that are really more than the sum of their parts. Alexander-Arnold plays it through nicely to Gallagher. First time touch to Bowen, and the West Ham man takes it towards the byline, plays it into Maddison near the right touchline, pulls it across, and it's deflected behind. Two central defenders together for Australia. It's an England corner.
That's the first time that Trent Alexander-Arnold's really got on the ball and split the lines, and he fires a ball into James Maddison, who pushes it wide to the right-hand side, and Bowen attacks his man. Maddison then gets on the end of it. Souttar does well to divert it round for a corner.
Yes, James Maddison's club manager Ange Postecoglou, the former Australia coach, is here in the stands, probably in the level above us here in the Royal Box. And Maddison takes the corner into the near post. That's headed away for Australia. Comes out. Good clearance from, I think it was Strain who got his head to it, but Alexander-Arnold's got it back for England, shoots from distance, takes a deflection which took it wide of the goal. It was actually off his teammate. I think it was off Maddison on the edge of the box, so it's a goal kick to Australia.
That just shows you where England are at. Trent Alexander-Arnold picking the ball up 30, 35 yards out, trying to strike a ball, hits his own teammate and goes wide. It wasn't the greatest of strikes from Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think Matty Ryan had it comfortably covered and good eyes on the ball.
Hit Grealish actually, didn't it, on the elbow, which took it wide. Here's Watkins on the left-hand side. Watkins, two Australians with him. Back it goes to Grealish behind him. Hair swept back. Grealish drops his shoulder. And then a little ball to Watkins again on the edge of the area. Tried to thread it through for Maddison, but Souttar was in the way. The Scots-born Souttar.
Oh, lovely play.
Excellent, well played by Boyle. Under pressure, worked it to Goodwin. Goodwin's pass forward. Duke chasing that, but England have been able to deal with it. And Tamori back to goalkeeper Johnston. But there's a great understanding, isn't there? This unheralded front three. Boyle on the right-hand side, the Hibernian man, Duke in the middle, but England coming forward at the other end. Here is Maddison, a little bit of space in the full-back position. Still Maddison, uses Grealish behind him. It's the first time these two have started a match together for England, Grealish and Maddison. Then back to Henderson, the captain on the night. Alexander-Arnold, very much in a central position, but too slow. Australia are back in position, and England are going sideways again from Henderson to Tamori. Now out to Bowen on the right-hand side. Bowen loves it when he's got a chance to run at the opposition, and he's not really often had the chance to do that tonight.
Well, it's been too slow to get out there, John, but I have to say, Jack Grealish, I love watching Jack, and I've played with Jack at Aston Villa, and he's such a special talent, but tonight he's been too negative, just going back every single time he's on the ball.
Do you think a little bit that Maddison's got in his way as well? Because I think Maddison's struggling to find space at times, has drifted into Grealish's space.
And it's Australia coming forward. It's Strain, but the ball into the penalty area. That's an easy one for Johnston to catch. Paul Robinson, carry on that theme.
Yeah, with Maddison struggling to get space in midfield, like we've discussed with the flooded midfield, he's getting in spaces, and him and Grealish have sometimes got in each other's way tonight.
Here's Watkins receiving it from Henderson. Watkins on the left-hand side takes on Souttar towards the byline, pulls it across to the near post. Grealish was in there, but so too was Ryan Strain, who was able to stretch a leg at it as he went down on one knee and deflected it round the near post for a corner.
Yeah, he does really well, Strain, because it is the centre-back, Harry Souttar's got in a 1v1 situation with Ollie Watkins. Great pressure from Souttar. It pushes Watkins to it.
Corner.
Hits an early ball.
Corner's taken short by Maddison to Grealish, the two of them together again. Grealish across, shot from Bowen is blocked round about 12-13 yards out, and it came out for a throw on the left-hand side. Marginal improvement from England?
Yeah, a little bit. They've tried to move the ball quicker. They're trying to be a little bit more incisive with the passing, trying to cut out that midfield press. You just got to get that quality on the ball and make sure that when you do get it in those advanced areas, that you're on the half turn, that you can then turn back a turn and get at the back line of Australia, not playing them balls back into safe areas.
Looks like France are qualifying tonight. Kylian Mbappe scored a second goal, and it is Netherlands 0, France 2, and it looks as though the Republic of Ireland are going out because they're 2-0 down in Dublin at home to Greece. So Republic of Ireland 0, Greece 2. 0-0 here at Wembley, 5 Live on this Friday night. We'll be back here as well, 5 Live, the place to hear England, Italy on Tuesday night, the big qualifier. If England win that, England will be there in Germany next summer. Of course, there are still the matches next month as well. England will be here against Malta, and then the final match in Skopje against North Macedonia. 5 Live the place to hear those matches as well. But the ball at the back with Australia. Suter back to Ryan. Maddison bearing down on him, so plays it across to Cameron Burgess of Ipswich Town, and then back to the former Brighton and Arsenal man, Ryan, the goalkeeper, who plays it to his left to Burgess, and then long downfield from Burgess, where Duke chests it back, and now Goodwin's onto it again. Goodwin, early cross, but into the gloves of Johnston, who was able to take a couple of steps outside his 6-yard box, catch it, and then the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, more clean sheets than anyone in the Premier League this season, overarms it out to Grealish, but Grealish goes back to Colwell.
What a fantastic outlet Mitch Duke is for Australia. Whenever they're under a little bit of pressure and you think, how can we relieve this pressure? He's so physical up front, he just bullies Tamori out the way, gets in front of him, chests it down, and then you've got midfield runners, the wingers cutting in off the sidelines, making sure that they can attack with him. It's such a brilliant outlet for Australia to have.
Mitch Duke, believe it or not, at 32, plays in the 2nd division in Japan for Machida Zelvia. Here is Watkins on the left-hand side. Watkins infield towards Maddison, but Bacchus just catches his heel, fouls Maddison. Bacchus, who has been booked, got to be careful. And I think Steve Holland down there under the blue baseball cap, he's in discussions with Gareth Southgate. I think possibly substitutions might not be far away. Rashford's trotting back towards the bench here. Gareth Southgate having a word with him, and Foden, and John Stones as well, so they might, they look as though they're getting ready, those 3, Stephen. Free kick though to England.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see what the position is of John Stones. Will he then step into that midfield role and allow Trent Alexander-Arnold to stay wider if he stays on the pitch?
And Phillips as well, so it might be a quadruple substitution. Free kick though, Maddison plays it in, that's headed down and away for Australia by Suter. Comes out to Alexander-Arnold, wraps his foot around it, it's over the top of Dunk. Grealish takes it down and scores! Watkins sliding in, might have got the final touch on the goal line. It was going in from Grealish. Watkins might claim this, but England have taken the lead and found the breakthrough. And Ollie Watkins has gone to Grealish. The 2 of them are smiling and laughing at one another. I think it'll have to be a replay to decide who got the final touch and whether it was over the line, but it is England 1, Australia 0, and Wembley can celebrate the opening goal.
And what we can say straight away is that Ollie Watkins isn't offside. He runs from behind Cameron Burgess, who switches off for a split second, and Ollie Watkins gets him behind. But Jack Grealish is absolutely furious. He thinks he's got a goal. It wouldn't have gone in. He thinks it's on target. It isn't on target, and Ollie Watkins had to put it into the goal. I'm sure Jack Grealish will smile after the game, having known that. But it's the one moment of quality that we've seen. The ball from Trent Alexander-Arnold to the back post. They get a 2v1 situation at the back post. Lovely touch and strike from Grealish, but the predatory instincts of Watkins gets a goal.
But at the other end, Duke, from a tight angle left side of the penalty area, forces a very decent save from Sam Johnston, who had to deflect it round the post, Paul Robinson.
It was a good save by Sam Johnston. You always say you're vulnerable just after you've scored, and that was a perfect example. Australia went very direct from kick-off within 2 touches. Strike on goal, near post. Johnson does well to cover the ball.
Corner then for Australia, who've got a goal down in this match, but that has not altered their approach. We saw that in the very first attack after Ollie Watkins gave England the lead. So here's the corner, in towards the near post. Grealish was after it, and it's bounced down actually via the deflection. And England off and running with Colwell, who is challenged by Goodwin.
It's another bad decision.
A free kick that is given England's way.
That's not a foul. That's not a foul. That is a brilliant recovery challenge from Goodwin, and that's the recovery tackles that we're talking about from Australia. The work rate, the tenacity to get back in. Really good recovery, and Colwell goes to ground, holds his ankle and buys the free kick.
What about a word on the England goal, Paul Robinson?
It's the first time they've tried not to score the perfect goal. It's the first time we've seen the ball slung into the box. Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't look, puts his head down, whips the ball into the box, finds Grealish at the far post, who has a fantastic first touch, and like Stephen says, smashes it across the face of the goal. It wasn't going in. Watkins slides in at the far post, and sometimes we're so often guilty of trying to score the perfect goal at this level without actually putting the ball into areas that can hurt other teams.
Yeah, Watkins on the slide. He was probably less than a yard out when he got the touch, but it is Watkins' goal, and Ollie Watkins in form in the Premier League. Ollie Watkins scores his third goal for England, and actually his second in consecutive appearances, even though the previous goal was in the March of last year. So it is England 1, Australia 0, and here come the first of 4 England changes, and that's it for Jack Grealish. Has he done enough? It's Rashford who's coming on. Has he done enough to be in the starting lineup against Italy?
Not for me. Not on tonight's performance. Whether he's just trying to find his feet physically, mentally, since not playing many games in the last month or so for Manchester City, but he did look a little bit lethargic in the game.
Paul, on Jack Grealish?
I don't think anybody has tonight, John, thus far. I think it's been a poor, methodical performance, and there's nobody on that pitch that stood up. I mean, we've talked about Jack Grealish's struggles to nail down a regular starting 11, and he hasn't been able to produce again tonight.
Jordan Henderson coming off. Kieran Trippier coming on. Also Conor Gallagher as well, so the midfield 2 are coming off. So it looks as though we are going to see John Stones playing in a central position. Calvin Phillips is coming on as well, and actually Tomori's coming off, so John Stones will replace Tomori, you would think, in central defence. And we've not seen these two play together for England, Stones and Dunk.
No, we haven't, and now we see Trent Alexander-Arnold step into a midfield alongside Calvin Phillips, with James Maddison just ahead of them, Marcus Rashford moving out onto that left-hand side in place of Jack Grealish. So it's a more conventional back 4, with Kieran Trippier now supporting Jarrod Bowen down that right-hand side.
Yeah, so I think this maybe gives us a clue, does it, for Tuesday night? Well,
no.
Alexander, no? Just thinking Alexander-Arnold potentially in midfield against Italy?
No, I think it could be, because what you do need is you need someone who can pick a lock, someone who can find that killer pass, and we know that he's definitely got that. He's got them capabilities. I think it's just how you set the team up in that position. Actually, he just sprays a lovely ball out to the left-hand side.
And here is Rashford, obviously struggling on the domestic front with Manchester United after his excellent season last season, but he just cannot get it going, can he, this season? And be interesting to see what he's able to do in the remainder of this match, almost half an hour.
Yeah, the body language doesn't look great, does it? It looks like he's having a tough time confidence-wise, and we know that confidence is one of those most incredibly difficult things in football to find, to sort of turn that tap on and off, and you ask questions of how you do it. And from being almost unplayable at times last season, at the moment he just doesn't seem to be able to do anything right.
So Trippier, Phillips, Stones and Rashford, the 4 players who've come on, and Tomori, Henderson, Gallagher and Grealish. So who took the captain's armband? Trippier did. There they are. Well spotted.
The glasses, John.
Yes, those glasses again. England 1, Australia 0. Ollie Watkins scoring 7 goals for Aston Villa this season. Last time he played, scored a hat-trick, of course, against Brighton. As Australia come forward again, but they run into Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips then, simple pass, or a short pass forward towards Maddison, who will turn and give it back. And here's John Stones, just 2 appearances so far for Manchester City this season with the injury that he's had. And Stones, again, one of the absolute staples for England under Gareth Southgate. Dunk to his left, and now Colwill again. So no Nketiah yet. So only 2 more substitutions can be made by Gareth Southgate. So we'll have to see if Eddie Nketiah is going to get his chance this evening. Phillips now for England, deep lying position, goes for one of those crossfield passes that were very much his trademark at Leeds United, and it's landed at the feet of Rashford, and Rashford goes around strain, but then a heavy touch means that The cover is there for Australia from Boyle to put it behind for an England corner.
That's just that doubt in his mind, isn't it, where he's beat his man and you're thinking, well, fizz the ball across now, and he just takes that extra touch because he doubts himself, and that's just the place where Marcus Rashford is with his game at the moment.
So corner for England from the left. England leading through the goal just short of the hour from Ollie Watkins. And this corner to be taken by Maddison to the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away for Australia, and then a shot on the edge of the box from Watkins, bounced down actually, and Australia were able to clear on the edge of the 6-yard area. It's back again for Alexander-Arnold into the box, left foot shot. Again, there's a defender in the way which deflects it well wide of the goal for another England corner, this time from the opposite side. Paul Robinson.
Gives you that, does Trent, further up the field. I like him playing on that with less defensive responsibility. Gives him the freedom to cut inside, whether it's on his right foot or left foot. A little bit more freedom to take players on and to get in those areas where he can hurt people. He's not afraid to take people on. He's not afraid to get into the box without those defensive responsibilities. He's a more creative player.
So corner from the right. Maddison will actually take this short, and Rashford is onto this, into the penalty area, ball at his feet, takes it on, looks to the byline, then drives it across. It's blocked at the near post by Rolls, and then cleared out of play for an England throw over there on the far side. But Rashford just chips the ball up into his hands as it bounces back off the advertising hoardings. The weather forecaster in the lift was right, wasn't he?
Spot on, yeah. Absolutely nailed on.
What does he know? He's been stood in a lift all day.
Well, wherever he is, he's got the weather forecast right. No rain after 9 o'clock, he said. As Australia give it away, Trippier steps forward. Kieran Trippier nearing 50 caps. It's his 44th tonight, the Newcastle man. Back to John Stones. Our expectation is that Trippier will be at left back against Italy on Tuesday night, as he was in the European Championship final here against the Italians, with Kyle Walker coming back into the team, assuming all is well. Gareth Southgate said everyone was fit last night. Walker named among the substitutes, and here is Dunk at the back, gives it to Stones. So obviously the feeling is that they did feel that John Stones needed some time to play, get out on the field before the match against Italy on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's sensible. I think that you need to give him that opportunity to get minutes into his legs, to get himself feeling better as England give the ball away again.
That's uncharacteristically from Dunk, giving it away, and Australia coming forward through the middle. Backus could have a goal from 25 yards here, but drags it well wide, and he had options there. He had 5 options ahead or to the right or to the left, but went for goal. It did open up, but he hit it badly.
Yeah, it really did open up for him, but I think if the game's still at 0-0, I think he just takes the easy pass and plays it out wide to the overlapping Boyle, gives him the opportunity then to put a cross into the box, because Australia had numbers forward and they were outnumbering England at the back.
So England 1, Australia 0. Jack Grealish with the sort of cross shot. As Paul Robinson said, actually it probably was going wide at the far post, and Watkins did have to slide in and force it over the line. So the Aston Villa man scoring the goal, we'll likely be talking to him afterwards were it to stay like this. And Australia are going to make their first changes very shortly, with a quarter of the match to go. 3 changes coming up, bringing on Lewis Miller is going to come on to make his debut, the number 17 down there, and also Brandon Borrello coming on, who scored against Ecuador last time Australia played in their homeland.
What have they been feeding them, John? Look at the size of Miller. Huge, isn't he?
Yeah, and only 23 years old, Hibernian man, that will not have the changes yet. Australia play the ball back to Ryan inside the penalty area, just passes it out to the left hand side to Burgess. Ryan again, right-footed ball towards the halfway line, but Strain comes for and controls against Rashford, but then rather disappointingly he slips as he hits it forward and it just drifts out of play. So England looking a good deal more settled, as you would think they would do, having taken the lead. But there has been an improvement in the second half, but it's still not sparkling, is it?
No, not at all. I think you think of the tempo that England have tried to play at in the second half. It's fortunate there.
Yeah, Alexander-Arnold went through a couple of challenges, but then couldn't find the pass. It was a little short to Trippier on the far side, so Australia have got it back. And also, England are going to bring on Eddie Nketiah. Phil Foden coming on as well, so those are changes 5 and 6. And Eddie Nketiah is about to win his first cap for England. How will he be feeling down there on the side of the pitch?
I just think he'll be absolutely delighted. He'll know his family are here as well, which I'm sure they will be, and he'll be wanting to share that occasion with them after the game. But for anyone who plays for England, when you pull the shirt on, it's a boyhood dream. Everyone dreams about playing for the country, and especially at Wembley as well. But
Australia are coming forward with Boyle on the right-hand side. Boyle chips it into the near post, but an easy take for Sam Johnson, who caught the ball above his head. Yeah, we had a chance to speak to him last month, Eddie Nketiah, when he was called into the squad, the senior squad, for the first time. And you mentioned his parents. He actually said that his parents lost control when he told them that he'd been picked in the squad. Just a couple of goals for Arsenal this season. Well, I presume they burst into tears. Yeah. I presume that's what he meant. In actual fact, as we know, having been at Arsenal's last match, he's on a little bit of a spell without a goal at the moment. Not scored in his last 7 appearances for Arsenal. However, you'll take it any time, won't you?
Oh, if he gets one today, he'll be absolutely delighted, and his confidence will go sky high.
Here is Rashford for England. Right-footed ball, but that's read by Suter. Clears it, but only to Maddison. Calvin Phillips now, little or no football for Manchester City this season. Just the one start and an unused substitute in that game at Arsenal, which was a big talking point. Ball played behind Phillips by Dunk. Phillips wants to get on the ball, which he does. Gives it to Trippier on the right-hand side. Bowen, Jared Bowen on the right. Low ball into the near post. It just evaded Maddison and was cleared away for Australia on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Lovely work from Bowen down that right-hand side and moving the ball quickly. Calvin Phillips making sure that there's pace on the pass to be able to take a nice touch out of your feet from Jared Bowen. It allows you then to get at your defender. Fizzed a lovely ball across, and Maddison couldn't quite get on the end of it.
What's catching your eye at the moment, Paul Robinson?
The impact that substitutes have made. There has been a slight improvement from England in the second half. But listen, it has been pretty poor. It's been methodical at times. It's not been a great watch, let's be honest. And you're looking now, he's got Nketiah and Foden coming on there. If you're on the pitch, you're looking over to the sideline thinking, if I'm coming off, I've got half a chance of playing on Tuesday.
And first of all, I think it's going to be the Australian changes. In fact, no, it's the England changes first. And so that's it for James Maddison. Only his 5th cap tonight. One of the players of the season in the Premier League. So Phil Foden coming on to play. Well, we'll see whether he's going to play in the number 10 role. But Ollie Watkins, having scored the only goal so far tonight. So at 24 years old, this Londoner, Eddie Nketiah, former Chelsea youngster, but then became very much an Arsenal man, trots onto the field. He says Ian Wright and Thierry Henry were the inspirations for him, and now he's on the field for England with number 25 on his back. Australia making changes as well. Goodwin is coming off. So is Harry Suter. Am I right in saying there's that Suter coming off? But anyway, the 3 who are coming on.
No, I think Suter's still on.
Suter is still on. Jordan Boss is coming on, who's playing his football in Belgium at the moment, so this is only his 3rd cap. Big Lewis Miller coming on, the Hibernian man, that's his debut, who is the right back. We'll just get those numbers for the Australians who came off in a moment or two. But England leading by 1-0, and Colwill in the left-back position for England plays it forward, and it's deflected out of play near the halfway line. So Colwill waiting to make these changes. But Goodwin, having come off, I mean, he's really caught the eye, hasn't he? Veteran now, really, at the age of 31, but he was one of the main men for Australia.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding, and I spoke before about Jared Bowen being the ideal winger to play in front of you if you're a fullback. I think he was exactly what was needed in front of Kyle Rolls. Defensively, worked hard for his team, but also a threat going the other way and caused England constant problems going forward.
Yeah, and Duke and Strain also coming off. I mean, Ryan Strain, the English-born Ryan Strain, who had that big chance late in the first half that could have been a very different story here tonight if he'd been able to drive the ball into the net and had Dunk not deflected it up and over the top of the crossbar.
He will not sleep tonight, thinking about that moment and what it could have been and what a moment it could have been for Australia. Playing at Wembley, scoring a goal at Wembley, it would have made a real impact in the game. He'll be bitterly disappointed.
So 1-0 England lead, and we still have just over 15 minutes of the 90 to play. England clear it, but Suter driving forward gets a foot to this. Jackson Irvine plays it towards the edge of the penalty area. Curling shot, took a deflection. It was hit by Conor Metcalfe. England have been able to scramble it away, but that's all they're doing. And then Trippier puts in the challenge. The Australian supporters over there are claiming that Trippier committed a foul there as he won the ball back, but then it's deflected out of play for a throw into Australia, to England nearer the halfway line. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, it's taking time to settle again, John, isn't it, the game? I mean, we've had the amount of substitutions that we've had by both sides, and England did look a little disjointed. The communication wasn't quite there. We know it's not a tried and tested starting 11 that he's tried, and now he's made all the changes, so even less so. You know, we spoke about all the eyes are on Tuesday night, and if they play like this on Tuesday with this lack of intensity, they'll struggle against a good Italian side. It's not been a great watch. It's been a friendly. He's tried players in positions. I'm watching the game now. There's nobody that's really put the hand up and said, pick me, I need to play. Players that have played excellently well this season for the club: Jared Bowen, James Maddison, Ollie Watkins. Yes, he got his goal, but there's nobody out there tonight that will be banging Gareth Southgate's door and demanding to play on Tuesday because of their performance.
The only one who I'd really say stood out is Sam Johnson. Made a couple of great saves and done everything that's asked of him.
Here is Foden for England, driving forward from centre field, then giving it to the right-hand side. Trippier involved in that. Alexander-Arnold's ball low across the area. Suter backpedaling, is able to adjust and clear it away. But then Foden again into the thick of the action, and in amongst all of the green and gold, keeps possession. It finds its way to Rashford on the left-hand side. Now Foden again makes himself available. He looks as though he's on a one-man mission, Phil Foden, to lift this performance for England.
Well, he's on a mission to try and get himself a starting place in the game on Tuesday. He's desperate to prove people wrong that he is capable of performing in an England shirt, because he hasn't quite hit the heights that we'd expect him to in an England shirt.
And of course what this performance does tonight, with Jude Bellingham sitting and watching on the substitutes bench, is underline what England have with Bellingham. Foden no to Rashford. Rashford's ball across. Suter was able to block it on almost the corner of the 6-yard area, and Australia clear towards the halfway line.
They've done that well a few times, Australia. They realise that Rashford's got that pace to burn down the side, but Suter doesn't come across too far, just holds his position at that front post and makes sure that anything pulled back or across that 6-yard box, he's in a position to cut it out.
So England bring it forward with John Stones, who's advanced well into Australian territory, then back towards the halfway line. England still leading through the second half goal, the sliding close range finish from Ollie Watkins. So Harry Kane will not see him tonight. Bellingham likewise. And here's Colwill, who passes it forward towards Foden, who turns it back infield to Colwill, who's dispossessed by Jackson Irvine. But then the recovering Trent Alexander-Arnold gets a touch on that, off Jackson Irvine and out of play for a throw-in to England. The other thing we should mention tonight, incidentally, as well, that the two fine England internationals were remembered this evening before the start of the match, Trevor Francis and Francis Lee. And there was a lovely round of applause, of appreciation for those two. And added to that, in the match programme tonight, lovely to see Maddie Cusack of Sheffield United, and also Ben Cull, the young Southampton Academy player, also remembered in tonight's match programme. England leading by 1-0. Colwill plays it off Metcalfe and out of play for a throw-in to England, halfway inside their own half. Another throw-in. Colwill then up towards Nketiah, but the heavy touch, and Souta's all over him, plays it forward, and then Boyle does well again. The hard-working Boyle takes it out towards the far side. 6 goals for Hibs so far this season, and then it finds its way to Rolls, low ball in, Boyle into the penalty area, a change of feet, but too many England defenders in there, and actually in the end Trippier, with Borrello not far away, had to stab it behind for a corner to Australia.
It's Jordan Boss on the left-hand side who's dancing through the England defenders, and Trippier, he just doesn't realise that Borrello's behind him, decides to put it out, and it's a correct decision, but we've seen how dangerous Australia are from set pieces.
So a corner from the left-hand side for Australia. Boyle takes it in, it's a deep one, and it's headed off the post! A flying header by Metcalfe, who got his head to it, and it struck the outside of Sam Johnston's left post and was behind, and it's a goal kick, and England still lead 1-0, and another Australian chance comes and goes.
By the thickness of a layer of paint, completely unmarked at the back post there. Really simple corner routine, floated into the far post, finds himself completely unmarked. The marker from England's dreadful. Misses everybody out. Free header at the far post. Should score, should do better. Hits the post from 6 yards out.
England have really been fortunate tonight. They're winning the game. They could easily be behind. Colwell, but Australia battling away. You know, this is typical of Australia. This is the Australia we saw at the World Cup.
It certainly is.
Qatar at the end of last year.
Yeah, but I mean, Robbo spoke about it before. They play to the strengths, don't they? They understand what their strengths are, and they don't stray away from that. They don't try and be something that they're not. I think they're very impressive.
They've played very, very well tonight. Listen, they're no great footballing nation, and no disrespect to them whatsoever for the performance tonight. But from an England point of view, if you're playing against better teams, and you look at the amount of chances that Australia have created against them tonight, you look at the game plan that they've had against them tonight. OK, it's not been England's starting 11. There's been a lot of changes. Yes, there's excuses, but we're still playing in our own stadium against a team that we should be beaten comfortably, where we're 1-0 up and potentially we could be losing. The performance for England tonight hasn't been good enough.
And I suspect it means that Gareth Southgate will not be changing his plans that he had in place for the team lineup on Tuesday night, when I think we kind of know, we've got a very good idea of that team. It's a free kick to Australia forward of the centre circle.
Well, sometimes in football you become a better player by not playing. And you look at those players sat on the bench tonight, the likes of Walker, Bellingham, Rice, Kane, who will definitely start on Tuesday. All of a sudden you look at what's on the pitch tonight, you think, can't wait to get them back in the team.
So less than 10 minutes to go. England 1-0 up, but they've just had another let-off, and Australia have got this free kick forward of the centre circle, which is flighted forward into the box and glance headed on by Rolls, but all the way through for an England goal kick. And we will have the next 2 Australian changes now. So coming off is Martin Boyle. So all 3 of the front players have been substituted now by Graham Arnold, and our Mabil is coming on, who plays his football in Switzerland with Grasshoppers. And Kai Rolls, the left back, who had a series of chances in the first half, is replaced by Aziz Behic, who is one of the few Australian base players in this squad, and he, winning his 60th cap tonight, has gone across there into the left back position.
Well, Jarrod Bowen will be delighted that he's left the pitch, Rolls.
As Rashford comes forward for England, and now Nketiah works it across, but back in there, the substitute only just on the field. Our Mabil was able to dive in and put it behind for a corner to England. But Rashford and Nketiah together, and Phil Foden has come across to take this corner with James Maddison off the field now. Rashford is there with him, so there is an option of a short corner. Foden waiting to take this. So Phil Foden just rubs the right wrist of his shirt on his nose, and then Foden, a deep delivery towards the back post, a header away for Australia, then it's headed down and further away. England win it back. Trippier might have committed a foul there, holding his arms up as a wave is making its way around the ground. And Australia with Metcalfe gives it away. Metcalfe, who was the man who had the header against the post a few minutes ago. England again with it on the right-hand side. Bowen down into the full-back position, but 2 men on him, and it's deflected out over the far side for a throw-in to England near the corner flag. I think one or two, in fact more than one or two, probably hundreds and hundreds of people have begun to head towards the exits, but the crowd, the official crowd tonight, 81,116. I must say, I think that's a feat to get a crowd like that in for a friendly international against Australia on a Friday night.
John, they've heard it starts raining at 9:45.
Well, I've not heard that.
They're packing that lift.
I'll be having words if it does. Here's Colwell. But Rashford, but still inside his own half. Rashford takes it on down the left-hand side, but the recovering challenge by Lewis Miller puts it out of play via a deflection off Rashford. And it's actually given as a free kick in the end by Rashford on Miller. So time beginning to run out here. We've got 5 minutes of the 90 to go. And Australia deserve a goal, frankly.
They do. I really think they do on the game plan, the way they've set up, the opportunities that they've had. That's the one thing we spoke about before the game, is that they're just not clinical in the final third.
Barello to Mabil. Mabil runs his foot over the ball, then couldn't find a teammate, but it bounced back to Mabil. And Mabil beats Colwell, and they couldn't. Jackson Irvine in the 6-yard box, trying to slide in, slid past Dunk, but the deflection took it onto Dunk and wide, and it's a corner to Australia. Again, Australia causing England problems.
England having to be careful, lapses of concentration, causing themselves their own problem. I mean, 1-0 up at this stage of the game, you've got to be switched on, you've got to all be together, and you can't allow mistakes that allow chances on your goal. Far too many opportunities of this Australian side had. Yes, they've been good, yes, they've created chances, but England at times, just like that, have been the masters of their own downfall.
Mabil is going to take this. Inspirational little figure he is. The young Australian of the year. He was named in January, a former refugee from South Sudan. Mabil takes the corner to the back post, it's headed down, blocked on the edge of the 6-yard box. There are a lot of bodies in there, and the body that gets to the ball first is Phil Foden, who's able to take it away and chip it away for England. And then further away from Calvin Phillips, and then well done on the halfway line for Australia, as it's collected by Behich, the left back, one of the recent substitutes, who's able to take it away and keep possession for Australia. Gareth Southgate in his hooded anorak, looking a little concerned, which he might well be, as the green and gold sweep forward again. Mabil into the penalty area. His cross is blocked away behind for another corner to the Australians.
Well, they got a header on the previous corner. Far too easy again from an England point of view. Very easy for Australia. They're just blocking at the back post. They realise that they've got Cameron Burgess and Souttar at the back post. They just keep on standing the ball up to that position and allowing them to get free headers at goal.
So Mabil will take this again, this right-sided corner. England 1-0 up, but a precarious lead in the dying minutes of this friendly. Played in towards Souttar, who tried to sweep it goalwards, but Stones went with him, and at close quarters was able to block the attempted flick goalwards. But again, Australia have it on the right-hand side, and the cross towards the edge of the 6-yard box is it was just Phillips who got there first for England. But Australia putting England under real pressure here in the final minutes of this match at Wembley Stadium. Back to the halfway line it goes, though, and Bacchus to Souttar, and England now just forcing Australia out, and in the end Bacchus actually has to give it back to Ryan. 2 minutes to go. 5 Live, Football Daily will have all of the reaction download for free in the morning, all of tomorrow's sport covered for you, all of the remaining football that there is, as Dunk turns and plays it back towards the edge of the 6-yard box. But lots and lots of big rugby commentaries tomorrow. All 4 of the Rugby Union World Cup quarter-finals, 5 Live the place to hear them. And as we heard from Dave Woods at half-time, the Super League Grand Final as well, in between tomorrow's 2 Rugby Union quarter-finals. So that is all for you tomorrow, as well as India-Pakistan at the Cricket World Cup on Sports Extra. Australia can make one more change, and Graham Arnold is going to do that as well. For the final seconds of this match, Alexander Arnold sends it long and forward. Nketiah absolutely herring after it, and actually he might win it. He might have been fouled there as well, but free kick is not given, and in the end it's out for a throw into Australia.
Just out-muscled in that bottom corner by Burgess, just too strong for Nketiah. Initially does well Nketiah to win the ball, but then just the pure strength of Burgess wins the ball back.
So the final change sees Mohamed Toure coming on to replace Conor Metcalfe, who looks crestfallen. Conor Metcalfe, the German-blazed midfielder who had that chance with the header from 6 yards out that he could only direct against the outside of the post.
Yeah, big opportunity. There'll be a couple of the Australian players thinking that at the end of this game, if it stays the same scoreline.
So Mohamed Toure onto the field and into the action, and then across from the right-hand side from Mabil, but that is beyond the far post, and it did go out of play for a goal kick. 3 minutes. Well, that's a blast from the past.
When did you last say that?
How many substitutions have we had in the second half? There's 3 minutes of added time.
I'm not, to be fair, John, are we complaining? I'm not so sure we could do much more than 3 minutes.
Yeah, we've got places to go, haven't we?
Well, I think most people inside the stadium have.
I think many of them
more red seats than people, isn't there?
Many of them have already gone to those places. Yeah, there are certainly not 81,000 people inside Wembley now. So goal kick. Ollie Watkins, the scorer of the only goal here tonight. This won't live particularly long in the memory, this first meeting at Wembley Stadium of England and Australia. Some great sporting contests between these two countries, not least this year in the Ashes, but this has been forgettable. Australia, they'll really rue the chances they had to get something out of this game, maybe even win it here. The only win that they've had was that in that much talked about match at Upton Park 20 years ago against England. Here is Colwell on the halfway line through to Foden, and if England got a second goal and won it by 2 goals to 0, I mean that would be very flattering. As Dunk plays the ball back towards Johnston in the D on the edge of the area. Yeah, Gareth Southgate has dropped a number of hints this week that Johnston might play in this match, and this will be 4 caps for England. And he won't have conceded a goal, and you can't do any better than that as a goalkeeper, Paul Robinson.
No, he's done extremely well. I watched him a couple of times for Palace this season. I, like many others, raised an eyebrow when Dean Henderson was signed. Very similar situation to Arsenal. You know, if you've got a goalkeeper that you rate and you want to play weekly, why sign somebody who will potentially take his place? It almost seems at club level he's a mistake away from losing his place. But he's got his chance now. He's been excellent so far this season for Crystal Palace. And as you rightfully say, not conceded the goal for England and done very well again tonight. He's looked assured. He's commanded his box. His communication's been excellent, and his distribution's been excellent.
Yep. So I think with that, we're probably saying that he'd be the selection as the man of the match for England.
I'd say so, because I don't see anyone else on the pitch who's really stood out. I think the only other player where you say something, they've tried to make things happen, is Trent Alexander-Arnold, but still not enough from him.
As Australia come to Miller on the right-hand side in added time. In fact, in the last minute of added time, chance for a late equaliser, but it's headed well wide. 2 Australians went for it. Mohamed Toure has just come on, and also Jackson Irvine, who's got a bit of the look of the pirate going about him, hasn't he, with the long hair tied back and the little moustache. But between the two of them, another chance goes begging, and it's a goal kick to England.
Yeah, he wants a corner as well, Jackson Irvine. I think he's correct in asking for one. It comes off the head of John Stones. He does enough, John Stones, just to climb with Irvine and direct the ball wide of the post for a corner, but it give a goal kick to England.
And there we have it. The final whistle goes at Wembley Stadium, and those 2 old friends, colleagues, Gareth Southgate and Graham Arnold, turn to one another. They know each other very well. There's a great deal of respect there, and there's a lengthy embrace between the two of them. And I suspect Gareth Southgate is saying to Graham Arnold, England, are very fortunate to have won that game tonight with that second half goal from Ollie Watkins. But Australia, so many chances not taken, and England, with one of the few that they did create, won the match. Grealish's cross shot and Ollie Watkins from close range. Stephen Warnock and Paul Robinson.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be many England fans walking away from here tonight saying we've seen a classic and we've seen the next sort of stars of England. I think they'll say it was a very lethargic performance from England, lacking in ideas, and hopefully there'll be more to come on Tuesday night from a different lineup.
Listen, it was poor, wasn't it? Let's be frank, it was a really poor watch. There was no tempo to the game, there was no cutting edge, there was nothing in the final third. Australia didn't have the possession, but they had more chances, they had the better chances. And these players that we talk about, the exciting players, the Maddisons, the Bowens, the Ollie Watkins, yes, Ollie Watkins got his goal, but nobody really shone tonight. It was disjointed, there was no cohesion, and it looked like a team of players that were just put together to play tonight and given an opportunity that don't usually play, and that's exactly what it was.
And it really adds to the current feeling, I think, with England, that Jude Bellingham is essential. Despite all of the other talents that England have, it's that young man who is making England tick. He wasn't involved, and it was disjointed. And this first meeting between England and Australia here at Wembley Stadium will not live long in the memory. But Ollie Watkins will remember it for his winning goal. England 1, Australia 0.
Thank you, John. John's going to head down to the dressing room area, down to the tunnel, to see if he can get us some reaction between now and 10 o'clock. Stephen and Paul are going to stay with me. I think, Stephen, the team that started tonight, the players that played predominantly tonight, have just picked Gareth Southgate's team for the Italy match, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. It wasn't good enough, was it? It was just one of those games that sort of passed many of them by, overrun by the majority of the Australian team. I think we have to give credit to the opposition for stifling them, to making it difficult. But you'd expect, even with the quality and the changes that England made, there's enough quality on that pitch to dominate this game, to create opportunities. Even though they dominated possession, it was the lack of creativity on the pitch and getting people in key areas. So when are you getting your Socceroos top then, Fletch?
I'm not sure. It probably won't be tonight. Might be a little bit too late to try and find somewhere open. Paul, I'm going to quote you because you don't think I pay attention on nights like this, but I do. You said during the match, I understand the real challenges against Italy, but there's nobody who's put their hands up and said, pick me, I need to play. Gareth Southgate will look at his bench, look at Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham and go, thank goodness I've got these guys.
Yeah, amazing that you actually listen, Fletch. It's very kind of you to quote that as well. But it's true. Do you know what? In all honesty, that's probably a bit harsh because I think Colwell did extremely well at left back. He came into the side and I thought he did really well. And Sam Johnson in goal. Trent, we know, needed the game. Others in that team, defensively, I don't think England were ever put under a real strain. Yes, they've got the clean sheet, so there's an argument that the defence did okay. But going forward, so excited, like you were before the game. We saw Bowen, Maddison, Grealish, Watkins, all on the same team sheet. And then you think the manager's saying, go on then, play, take the shackles off, play, go forward, create. There was just no cohesion and understanding. And during the game, I said to Stephen, sat next to me, Maddison's struggling for space. Grealish and Maddison were kind of stifling each other because Maddison had a tendency to drift out to that left-hand side. And when Grealish did get the ball, Maddison was too close to him. And they kind of cancelled each other out at times.
There's not many teams in the world that would not want Bellingham and Kane in them. Even Bayern Munich and Real Madrid would say exactly the same thing. Well, we need them to play because they are game changers. We are very fortunate that we do have those two players that we are able to call upon. Now, we know, no matter what happened tonight, those two players were starting anyway because they are world-class players.
So, in the circumstances now, based on what you saw tonight, Ollie Watkins scored. If Harry Kane couldn't play for England, is he next in line? Is that one of the positives tonight? Is he a player that takes something out of this, or would he still be behind somebody else in that central striking position if, heaven forbid, something happened to Harry Kane?
No, of course he does. He plays. I mean, that's why he played tonight. You look at Eddie Nketiah came off the bench, but you look at what Watkins has done this season. You look at the goals that he's got already and the way that Gareth plays with that one lone striker. You look at the squad that he's got. Ollie Watkins is the answer to that. Yes, he was quiet at time in the games. He didn't create that many chances, but strikers score goals. How many times have we spoke about Harry Kane, that he's been ineffective in games, doesn't touch the ball? Haaland, a perfect example, but scores goals. And Ollie Watkins has done that tonight.
I think the big thing is that what you have to understand, and I think there's there's a lot with James Maddison and the way that he played tonight is they play differently for the clubs. And when you've got Ollie Watkins, you've got Diaby up front with him. So they're interchanging and playing differently. Now, Maddison doesn't want to run past Watkins. He wants to play deeper. And then when you watch Aston Villa play with Diaby will sometimes become the striker and Watkins will drop shorter. That is something that England have to work on. They have to understand what is being asked of them to play internationally and not club level.
Let me ask you both this then, because we've watched an England team tonight that included James Maddison and Jack Grealish from the start. When you see Gareth Southgate pick what he considers to be his best team, he tends to have two holders, a number 10 who's not a Maddison-Grealish type, and then he's got speed out wide and Harry Kane through the middle. Do you think that kind of player can be successful in a Gareth Southgate England team? Do you think he knows how to incorporate a player like Maddison or Grealish into the framework of his team? Because you see those players play vastly different for their club size than they ever do in an England shirt. Yet everybody else seems to be able to replicate what they do or fit into the framework of what they're trying to do. Has he got a problem with that kind of player in his England team?
Well, that's what you say. That's what the word is, framework. His framework is rigid, and like you say, when the big games come around, when the tournaments come around, the two holding midfielders are the key, and his pace out wide are the key. And we're running the risk of being structurally very rigid and trying to put players into the positions of the formation that he wants to play, if you like. But then you flip that and you say, okay, do we play a system to suit one player? And then which player do you choose? Is it Maddison? Is it Grealish? Is it Foden? Is it Kane? Do you alter your formation to suit a player, or do you alter your players to suit your formation? So I think you've got to put the best players into the formation that you want to play. And I think at times England struggle to do that. They've got the best players in the final third of the field that at times are the most ineffective because of the way that they play.
I think the big thing for me is that when you're dominating possession and you turn over the ball and you've got two holding midfielders, you can't then go and win the ball back quickly. When you've got one sitting and you've got two midfielders higher up ahead of him in a three, then you can win the ball back. We saw it tonight far too often where Australia turned the ball over and got at England far too easily because they had the two holding midfielders couldn't get near them, and it was far too easy for Australia to play. Without being disrespectful, play the bigger teams, the better teams. They will absolutely destroy you doing that.
Fletch, tonight was one of the big reasons, as much as whether love it or loathe it, this was one of the reasons that the Nations League was invented, to stop games like this, because this was a very stereotypical friendly where you try all different players, different styles of play, and it just didn't work, and it really wasn't a good watch. I can't see, other than Sam Johnstone and Colwill left back, any positives that the manager will take from this other than they've come away unscathed without injury.
Would you maybe put Lewis Dunk into a positive category? He's had a couple of good games for England now. We were in a position not that long ago where it's, well, look, Harry Maguire doesn't play for Manchester United, but he's got to play for England because there is nobody else. Now all of a sudden you've got John Stones, Mark Gahey, you have Lewis Dunk, Levi Colwill, who would predominantly play as a centre-back, I'm sure, in an ideal world for him. All of a sudden you're starting to add a bit of depth and numbers to a position that looked very thin for quite a while for England. Is that a positive?
Yeah, I think, again, you go back to style of play for your club. What does Lewis Dunk want to do when he plays? He wants to draw people towards him and he wants to draw people out of positions. England don't play like Brighton. They don't play that system, so we don't have that get out and really dominate the possession. What he did do when he was called upon defensively, he saved one off the line, which was a magnificent recovery. He defends extremely well, but he's got to play him to his strengths and allow him to play in almost a dangerous style of football, but I don't think Gareth wants that as well.
Yeah. I'm looking at what people are saying about the match tonight. Matt says, so good to see Stones back, him and Dunk together at the back. Feels so much more solid than what we've had of late. Simon again said Lewis Dunk looks a cut above the rest, should 100% start against Italy. Chris said Trent is the player making the quality forward passes. All of our good moments have started with him. We are starting to see him more and more play in that midfield role for England, which I think seems a little bit out of character for Gareth Southgate, if I'm honest. From the outside looking in, that seems like almost a maverick move for Gareth, who likes to be, as we've said a few minutes ago, pretty rigid and solid in what he does with regard to the framework of his team.
He does, but your question, has he been pushed into that because of the way that Trent plays? at Liverpool, and you look at the way that he's effective in the game. And in the second half, when Kieran Trippier came on, we saw Trent deployed in a purely midfield role, which I think personally he's a lot more effective in without those defensive responsibilities.
OK, so let me fire this one at you then. If you were going to pick one of them to do that role in midfield, would you pick John Stones, who does it for Manchester City, for England, or would you pick Trent Alexander-Arnold, who we've seen do it for Liverpool, for England? Which one would you sooner have in a Gareth Southgate team, play that extra midfield role that they do so well for their clubs?
I'm going to answer this diplomatically. You've got them both in your squad, depending on who you're playing against and what style and system you want to play. If you want to set up slightly more defensively and give yourself a little bit more stability in midfield without playing two holding midfielders, which you would like to get away from, you play John Stones in that role. If you want your team more attacking without two defensive holding midfielders, you play Trent in there. He gives you so much more going forward.
I'm just going to nod my head and agree. I totally agree with it.
Yeah, I thought you answered that superbly well, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. Well done you, Robbo.
That's very kind of you, thank you.
I mean, if there is a positive, I mean, a lot of the players he's going to need on Tuesday against Italy have either played limited minutes, very controlled minutes, or they've sat out. So he is going to be going into that game pretty much with a clean bill of health and able to do what he wants on the night when it really matters.
Yeah, my only thing with the game on Tuesday, when you talk about limited number of minutes and fresh, that tells me Trent won't play because of playing 90 minutes tonight. And is that what he really wanted? Was it just to appease Trent, to give him 90 minutes and say, well, you've had this game, you can sit out the next game? John Stones, as you say, comes on. He's probably best suited to playing against Italy, where he can step in and be a little bit more defensively solid. It allows England as well not to... I don't like this personally, I really don't, unless you've got a player who's comfortable playing it, where you've got a player like Kyle Walker who can play as a right back but also a right-sided centre-back. I think tonight when you see Tomori stepping out into that right-back position, he looks uncomfortable, doesn't want to be out there. He didn't want to be a right-back, he's a centre-back for a reason. I don't want to go into them positions, and that's where John Stones, by just walking back 5-10 yards into that centre-back position, allows you to keep your back four.
Yeah, listen, the fact that Trent's played as much as he has done tonight, and you look at the bench, you look at Walker and you look at Trippier on the bench, as John said in commentary, it's obvious Kyle Walker's going to come in at right back and Kieran Trippier will fill in at left back, unless Caldwell's giving him a problem because he played so well tonight. But he's played 90 minutes. I thoroughly expect it to be a lot more defensive minded with Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier.
You see, this is where, as an England fan, you sit here pulling your hair out. It's all right being inventive and creative in a friendly against Australia when it never matters. But you then can't go back to what you've been doing time and time and time again every time it matters. Otherwise, they're never going to eventually get over the hump and win with this group, because they're always going to go back into their shell again when the pressure's really on.
Yeah, well, Garrett's argument will be we've got to a final of the Euros and we've got to the semi-finals of World Cups, but like you say, you've got to be able to get over that next step and that next hurdle, and he'll feel, well, it was only a penalty shootout that didn't get us to that point, and that's the flip of a coin. However,
but a more attacking side might not need the penalty shootout and this kind of thing, you know?
Listen, I'm completely with you. I think Garrett's far too negative. I think with a more forward-thinking manager, I think we dominate world football. I really do with this squad of players. It's so exciting. And I always think when you see a team sheet and you go, wow, look at them players on show. However, who's the manager? Well, I know it's not going to be that. I know it's going to be more defensive-minded. I know it's going to be sort of more defensively rigid, and that's disappointing.
But then look at the group, look at the qualification group, look since the World Cup, 6 games, won 5, drawn 1. 100% record. But it's results.
We always qualify well. We always go back through the managers. They all qualified well. I remember going into World Cups in the 1980s where they'd not lost for 20 matches, and it always happens like this.
But the other thing is as well, what you also get is
just
get
hold
teams.
That thought.
Sorry,
just hold that thought. Just hold that thought. Great night tonight for Ollie Watkins, and he's talking to John Murray.
Yes, he is. Ollie Watkins standing in front of me, England's winning goal scorer tonight. That was a bit of a struggle though in the by the grand scheme of things, wasn't it?
Yeah, obviously we didn't make it easy for ourselves, but it was the first time for us all playing together. not many of us have got a lot of caps. There's only a few of the boys that were experienced, and in the squad frequently. So, yeah, it was tough in Australia. They played well and they didn't make it easy for us. But you want games like that. You don't want to play in a game where it's easy and it's going to be 8-9-0 or something like that. You want a real challenge. So, yeah, it was a good game. And a good round, all round good night.
Real poacher's goal from you, wasn't it? All of 1 yard out.
Yeah, they're the best ones. A little tap in. I'll take it all day. At the end of the day, it says your name on the Sky Sports app, and that's all that matters. So I'll take it.
And it's taken you a while to get back in an England shirt and on the field. Yet last time you played, you started and you scored, and here you are, started and scored. You can't do any more than that, can you?
Yeah, I feel like whenever I've had the opportunity in an England shirt, I've done well. I know I can play at the highest level with these players. Whenever I go on the field, I'm just trying to show that.
Well done tonight, Ollie. Thanks for coming to talk to us. Thank you. Ollie Watkins, Darren.
John, that's John in conversation with the blasphemous Ollie Watkins. Of course, it's on the BBC Sport app as well, isn't it? His name will be on there too.
Shocking.
Stephen Warnock, he spat his water out when he heard that.
You get an interview by the legendary John Murray on BBC 5 Live. I mean, incredible.
He must have thought, I've seen John somewhere before and put 2 and 2 together and come up with 5 and thought he was doing John a favour. I mean, it's great to see him get a goal, though, isn't it, tonight? I watched him the other week when he played against Brighton, and he was outstanding. The runs he was making, the confidence he played with, the finishes that we saw, and then to go into an England team tonight, and all right, on a night when they didn't create an awful lot, he still walked off with a goal. So it's a very positive night for him.
Strikers don't care, do they? Strikers want to score goals. That's all they do. As he quite rightly said there, he will walk away from tonight's game. It's on the record, 1-0 England, and Watkins on the score sheet. It's another one to his tally this season. He started the season excellently well at club level, and in the last 2 games he started for England, he scored again. There's nothing more a striker can do than score goals. And if he's scoring every time he puts on an England shirt, he's doing something right.
The big thing is as well, if he doesn't gamble on that going towards the back, and he thinks it's going in, and he just stands there and leaves it, that's not his instinct. He's got the predatory instincts to go and finish that and make sure that the job's done. So he is an extremely clever player in the way that he plays. He's hugely improved under Unai Emery, got better, got confidence in himself, and more belief in the type of player that he can be and that he can be for Aston Villa. And now it's about replicating that for England as well. And like I said earlier on, now it's adjusting his style to play for England as well.
Yeah, I mean, just looking forward to Tuesday. I mean, I know that we kind of get caught up sometimes with the fact they're defending European champions Italy and they've got this magnificent history. But the reality is England should be significantly better than them, and this shouldn't be too much of an obstacle to make sure of qualification for the Euros very, very early, should it?
Well, they're in transition again, aren't they, the Italians? I mean, we all know in the last 2 or 3 seasons what we're not qualifying for major tournaments, winning major tournaments, and then they've lost the manager. So they're not only in a player transitional period, but a manager transitional period as well. Italy at home at Wembley, yes, it should be a different proposition, the qualification. England sat top of the group on 13 points, having scored 16 goals. You would like to think that qualification on Tuesday night will be almost a formality, but the Italians will sit the low block. We all know how they play defensively, and they'll come here with a game plan. They'll see what Australia have done tonight, albeit not to the first 11 that England will put out on Tuesday. The Italians have a low block, they'll be frustrate England, and England will have to move the ball quicker. They'll have to be creative, and they'll have to find a way to break down a resilient Italian team.
Be astonishing, Stephen, if they don't win and win well.
Will it?
I think so. When you think about what
tonight, Fletch.
But come on, I mean, blimey, I mean, you watched it like I did.
Yeah, but there's nothing to say that.
But when you think back to what they did to them when they met earlier in the group in Italy, England was significantly better in that game, and there's no reason why it wouldn't be the same.
No, I understand where you're coming from, but then the Italians will be wanting to put in a performance and show what they are really capable of. They've had a little bit of sort of problems off the pitch this week as well, and whether that galvanises the squad a little bit and makes them think, well, we need to put a performance in to sort of get rid of that away from our camp, that's something else as well. But there's also the feeling of coming to Wembley that people enjoy coming to Wembley. They want to play at Wembley. They embrace that occasion of coming to Wembley and showing what they can do. So I don't think it's a formality. I think we've got to respect the Italians. They've got very good players in the squad. And I know it's a different 11, but if you do allow Italy to play against England the way they have tonight, they will definitely punish us.
Listen, they're level on points in the group with the Ukraine. It's not a formality that they qualify either. So they're going to come here and they're going to want to take some points away because they're going to want to qualify themselves.
I'm just glad I'm more confident than you, pair. Thank you very much tonight. It's been fantastic as always.
Cheers, mate. Thanks,
Fletch.
Stephen Warnock and Paul Robinson. Don't forget commentary, England-Italy, Tuesday night here on 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates. Elsewhere tonight, Austria 2, Belgium 3, Netherlands 1, France 2, a couple in that game for Mbappe, Portugal 3, Slovakia 2, and Ireland 0, Greece 2. So Belgium, France and Portugal have all qualified now for Euro 2024. Ireland are out of contention to qualify after losing tonight against Greece. Thanks to John, thanks to Stephen and to Paul Robinson as well. More reaction, including from Gareth Southgate. That'll be on the latest Football Daily podcast, which is available later via BBC Sounds. And a reminder as well that it's Rugby World Cup quarter-final weekend. Wales, Ireland and England all involved, and commentaries of all 4 matches on 5 Live on BBC Sounds across Saturday and Sunday, plus full commentary of the Super League Grand Final on 5 Live tomorrow. At 6 o'clock up next, it's Stephen Nolan. But first, let's get the news on 5 Live from Nick Hatfield.